get disappeared real quick. So make sure you do have those levels marked. Make sure you join us back at 2 p.m. and the midday show is just about on. So yeah, that's pretty good. Good day so far. You know, hopefully the market, I mean, zeros. You know, Nasdaq's at 0.
Not necessarily a good thing.
ES at 0. No, ES down. So now the Nasdaq's actually better than the ES. So I do think you're right, David. When watch out for the banks, watch out for some negativity somewhere in this market, because right now that's a negative while this is a positive. That's bad. You know, so the Nasdaq is the one that plays catch up to the downside lately. So watch out for that.
It is 11 o'clock. We'll be back at 2. Right now, we got Joey options. We got Sharif. Not sure what small capper he's trading today because there weren't that many popping off, to be honest with you. Few and far between those gappers. But that doesn't mean there isn't something out there for everybody, including the 2 men 2 hour left.
Go downside.
And we'll see you
downside.
too.
Bye-bye.
Boom. Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the midday show. That is your boy Joey Options. No, you're looking the wrong way. And I'm Sharif. And good morning to everybody and a happy Monday. Who we got? Who we got? Let's go. Others saying, shut it to Casey. Mike PT right up. We got Hinsey. Get off my boat. That's a new one for me. Yummy Thai food. Shout out to TH Bull of Sparta. We got Christopher Ocean and High Vibration. Shout out to Kirk D and Dam. Jody Mills is in the house. Joey. Britt Brendan. We got Durant Gordon and Trip. Shout out to Crypto FOMO. You really FOMOing right now, brother? Dave B. We got Mike Hiller and Soul Queen 88 Assassinos in the house, as we know by the animations. Hefty Bull 995 GT. We got who else? Wyatt. We got T. What's up? Bulu OA, as well as man, who else? Big O. Big O. Okay. Big 40 nephew Neros. The Nomad Chief Jordy VWAP. All class. Adam Duluce, we are going to talk boxing. Adam, do not worry. That is very much in our focus. We got John Neal Ismar. Bro Kiker. We got Conrad Clark and the Roaring Griffin. Good morning to everybody. It is there's some stuff going. So before we get to Joey, I'm just going to show you guys my chart super quick. It is CMCT's world. We are all just living in it and participating. 1441, the breakout is on. It was running in the afternoon on Friday, and it is continuing again today, holding higher highs and higher lows. It is up to the tune of 52.5%. It is a very spready name, as you can see, between the jumps from $14 into 14.25. That has to account into your trading strategy. So that one is the #1 focus for me. And then below that, we have ENVS, IVVD, which is a holdover from Friday. PAX as well, up 50% and holding at that 10 EMA, just dropping below the $16 mark momentarily. PACS, the one I'm talking about. DVLT, trying to maintain trend. SGBX up over 30%, still putting in those higher highs and higher lows. I'm almost done, I promise. TMQ at the day high as we speak. There's a seller at 4. He looks like he's going to get run through. TMQ, keeping an eye on there. And then GLMD. I put GLMD despite the fact that it is below the volume weighted average price because it is looking like it might want to retake it with some higher lows over here. So that is going to be in focus for me. I just realized I am not plugged in, Assassino. I do apologize. Yeah, I think we're going to go to the big desk before we go to Joey.
Yeah, let's take a look here at BOX. This one does actually have a news catalyst with Amazon, specifically AWS. Box and AWS here launching a multi-year AI partnership to overhaul their enterprise content management. Box is going to be arriving in AWS Marketplace in early 2026 with some deep integrations across some different Amazon platforms. So again, AWS partnering up with BOX. BOX getting its largest volume candle of the day by far. Back to you.
All right, guys, good morning. Yeah, good morning. I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. Yeah, lots of combat sports going on. But aside from that, guys, let's break some things down. Tough start this morning, to be honest with you, with Alibaba. Take almost $1 on that one. It's a reverse dollar club, as Katina Man would like to say. So that was our biggest hit on the day. And then we traded a little NFLX. And then I got out of that before I decided that I wanted to break down, which was something positive. But we took a big time hit. Swing big, lose big, right? So that's just the narrative of the beast of the market. So at the end of the day, guys, you can see that we had an inverted hammer candle based off of these lows on NFLX, not a split coming in. So it's essentially 10 times cheaper right now, $110. Nice hammer candle, but downtrend still fully intact, holding up those levels, constructing lower highs, and then sure enough, you're heading towards the low of the day in NFLX. And then of course, we take a couple stabs on IBIT to see if we're gonna get any form of a bid and buyer stepping in. So that didn't work out. Consolidation, market was moving higher at the time. So I'm like, ooh, okay, maybe we'll start to participate. Nuh-uh, we're going Oppo right here. So there it is, now to $53. Man, the thing is, I don't want to hit the panic button or anything along those lines, Sharif, but we're down 25% in BTC off of those highs. In the long term, I might have to reduce exposure because I'm just bleeding unrealized gains, and that's not necessarily the thing that I want to do. So I think there's going to be a great opportunity to get into some of these names. Will it turn around? I think eventually at some point, but it's just a matter of when. We don't know, obviously, and if we did, we would have substantially more money, but that's the case, man. Once again, I'm just thinking, don't want to panic, but have to come up with a strategic game plan to maybe reduce a little bit of size in Bitcoin considering its previous performance, or its current performance, I should say. BTC to 60K, Marwan, I mean, by all means, my friend, short it. And sure enough, you might print, you might get there. To be honest with you, I would not be surprised if we see 75,000 in Bitcoin.
I don't understand how the flies are still alive.
It's warm out there.
Out there?
Yeah.
No.
Yesterday was windy, eh?
No, it's very cold.
It's cold, yeah. Not for the flies,
Yeah.
but in here, there's just a fluctuation of temperature.
Hey, Renee.
Yeah. Fluctuation of temperature.
Why do you want me to ask him, Fabian? Oh, no. Okay. All right, just sorry, I have to focus on what we've got on here. So I just got pushed out of CMCT. It's very volatile right now, guys. I just did get a beak wetter. We popped in at 311s, took some out into 315. It's got a higher low right now. So that's what I'm gonna base my trade on at the moment. So the prior bar low takes us all the way down to 1231. If we lose that, then I lose my trade on this one. So that's what we'll do there. What do we have? 77s on for now. Let's see if we can take out some here into the price spike up. Let's go ahead and wait in the 90s as well, but it does look like I will get stopped out. Yeah, so we will get stopped out. Now it's showing me a halt parameter here, 1219. It's going to halt down here. Thankfully, we got out, so we're already negative on the day because of this one, but doesn't matter to me, though. We're going to look to get back in shape. So we are halted down. So that's a good out there. Okay, not bad, because I definitely wouldn't want to be catching this one on the way down. CMCT, as quickly as it moved up, as quickly as it moved down. Ironically enough, though, even though we got stopped out of this, it's still above VWAP, it's still above the 10 EMA. So I have to take the hit because we have to manage risk in an appropriate way. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to, take it off the side chart. It's still very much in trend at the moment. In fact, I like that $12 level more than I like 12.5. where I originally got in, because you have a lot of topping tail candles that all reject 12. So I'm going to be watching this one closely. If it wants to hold up at that $12 area, it'll have a buyer in me. Otherwise, we're looking here at ENVS, but this one I still have more plans for. It's PACS that I want to work in here. PACS on the NY. Another spready name, 02 on the bid, 94. Sorry, 02 on the ask, 94 on the bid. And it's trying to put a bottoming tail candle, inverse hammer candle. Let's see if it can make the first 5-minute candle to make a new high. That's 1609. We're going to go ahead and wait at 1611 for continuation trend break there. So we'll give it a bit of room on this one. We'll see if we get that one on a breakout. So that's all I've got at the moment, Joey. Tell them what you're looking at.
Yeah, same thing here, guys. We're starting to see some of these support levels break, and this is what we were talking about a lot last week, right? So you have those bases being formed. When the market is moving lower, it takes a little bit more time, consolidates, accumulates, it chops all of the longs like it did to myself this morning. But here it is, same thing over and over again. You see the identical patterns across the board on multiple names. SPY, the Qs, IBIT breaking through these lowers, AMD as well too, guys, Meta breaking lower, and you have Netflix moving a little bit lower as well too. So keep an eye out on that. There's Alibaba. We were thinking short. Why? I'm going to break it down momentarily, because we have this gap up, and these gaps tend to get filled. So my initial short was pretty good. right? You fill a majority of this, you fill a good portion of this gap to the downside at the break of this pre-market support level, boom, and then it bids right back up. So we get out break even essentially on the majority of the shares, and then it tops out over here, but a lot of overlapping price action candles. So we got to keep an eye out on that and see what we can potentially do in some of these names. But again, same narrative, breaking through supports, the lights are off, Sharif. Here,
Lights,
I think Fabian,
guys, lights.
Fabian's doing some things there. But other than that, I don't got too much going on right now. I told you we took a bigger hit on Alibaba, so we have to be more precise with our entries. Risk is definitely tight. So yeah, we're gonna run through our scanners, look for that A++ setup, and I gotta write some more options against my IBIT position. Otherwise, not doing so good. It's not a good look whatsoever. But one thing to note is I made this mistake with Tesla and with Google. More or less with Google. Let's pull it up here and see what we got going on. Fear, but is Bitcoin Google? I'm not going to put it in the same realm as that whatsoever. But this is where I was selling, and then sure enough, you go on a big time rip. And if I think of doing the exact same thing here, chances are, at some point it's going to recover, but what we're experiencing, you're down 26% from those highs there. Where is that next level? Neo points, hey, you might run into this $50 level on IBIT. That's going to put you around the lower or the high 80s. And then if you break that, that's going to be putting you around the 80,000, 75,000. So keep an eye on some of these crypto names, guys.
I just got to say one thing.
Yeah.
I'm just worried about the people who bought at the top.
Yeah. I know, right? Damn. It's not
Oh,
good.
You sold at the top.
Sold
I'm not
at the
actually
top.
worried at all about the people who bought at the top. It's an inside joke. All right, here's the deal. We're involved here on ENVS at 6s. We wet the beak all the way up at the 24s. ENVS trying to work its way back above the $0.25 is a 27 penny high, $3.27. Sorry, that is the high of the day, $3.27. But this current candle has a high of $3.25. So let's see if we can make that new high day. It's a series of higher lows here on ENVS, looking a lot better than CMCT, or trading a lot more cleanly. Kind of, I should say that, because CMCT is a lot more parabolic nature than ENVS. Let's go ahead and post here at the third of a dollar. We're waiting at 33s. By definition, that'll have to be a new high day, because the high of the day is 27s. When are we expecting CMCT to open up? Well, it halted at 0757. So the earliest it would be open is 1257. So where are we at right now in terms of time? We are 2-1. There it is. It is now open. Let's see if it drops back down or continues. It's below the 10 and below VWAP. So right away, it's not tradable for me. Let's see if it finds any support here. It is coming all the way down. It just lost 11.5. It looks like it wants to lose 11 1/3. Only 11 standing in its way now. CMCT, the blood is in the street here. All the way down now into 11 single digits. Back up into the teens we go. No, the blood's still there. Oh no, it lost 11, Joey. It is on Z-way down, 10.5 possibly incoming here. Don't know the halt parameter. There it is. Oh, Joe, I just had 1019. See, so the red squares on my level 2, guys, that's where the halt is. Limit up, limit down. That's what LULD stands for. So now we'll know where to expect the halt bands to trigger. 1019, we're showing 38s. So this one's still a little bit above that halt parameter. So keeping an eye out on that. We'll keep you guys apprised there. What else I got, man? I'm still holding ENVS, but PACS, I do have a breakout trade. So this is, pulling into the volume weighted average price at around 15.5 on PACS. I like this one for multiple reasons, but what I don't want to do is try to catch a falling knife and have it lose VWAP, then find myself quite negative on the day. So what I've tried to do is base my entry upon a reversal candle. So I see the candle at around 1105. With a high there of 1603. So I can put a breakout trade above that level for the first 5-minute candle to make a new high. That could be my move there, keeping an eye out on that. SGBX is another one that I want to get involved in here, Assassino. This one does trade a little bit differently, though. This one does typically find support at the 20 EMA on the 5 rather than VWAP or the 10. So right now we have VWAP a little bit higher than the 10 EMA, so it's a bit of an anomalous situation. So what I can do is I can look for my breakout trade above 77s. I can get in at 277. That's if it reclaims the 20. So keeping an eye out on that. But nothing else, I gotta tell you the truth. I'm looking at TMQ as well, but TMQ's got consolidation right south of 4. Now, what I'm starting to notice is that it's putting in generally higher lows on the descents in an accumulation for a 4 break. But that's not really a high probability setup, I gotta tell you the truth. So if I get in here at the 10 EMA, we could lose the 10 EMA because we're awfully close to it. So yeah, I wouldn't have another level of support until all the way down to 385. That's where VWAP is on TMQ. So I don't know how I feel about this one either. So we'll pack our patience. Let's see if it sets up a little bit better, and then I'll get involved in that, Joey.
All right, good stuff, guys. So yeah, just a little bit of the activity that I got going on. I'm out of meta. I was in at 617, didn't get the move that I was looking for, so I sold that position. Take a small loss on it, that's fine. We were looking for a specific target. We didn't get it, but I think we're gonna go head up right up there. So I'm happy to sit on a little bit of cash, and then once we do see those turnaround signals, get involved in some META. I think we've been getting a lot of names on discount. Also, I had 6 options writings that as soon as the market opened, I bought those back, sold them for 70, bought them back for $8. So that credit, so receiving 90% of that credit in a span of a couple of days. And then you just roll those over to a further date. Not collecting as much, but we still like our chances here. We're collecting $60 per contract, which isn't horrible compared to 71, but we'll take that one and just continuously keep writing against this position. It's what's really holding us up at the end of the day. But hey, it's not good, full disclosure, but sure enough, if you stay optimistic, you game plan and execute on those game plans, and God willing, things will start to turn around. But aside from that, guys, if there's any specific names that you want to go over, we'll take a look at the options chain. Actually, no, we're going to go over our scanner first before we look at the options chain, and then we'll take a look at some of the top performing sectors on the day, considering the Nasdaq is breaking lower. There it goes, breaching LOD right there, guys. Opening range, boom, see you later, as we are now in 605. And then there goes the SPY as well, too, lads, ladies and gents. Boom, breaking through that 699, now heading towards 667 and continuing to bleed 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes, no green candle or a pullback, so slightly weak there, folks. But as for our scanner, top volume name today is going to be the SQ, Sharif, with 75.9 million shares traded on the session, and there it goes off to the races. TQ's low of the day, SQ's high of the day. That's the inverse correlation, how that's working right there. And then also here's NVDA. I mean, I think this is going to be what I'm going to rotate a little bit into: Facebook, NVDA, and some other tech names, and some JPM as well too. So starting to bleed a little bit lower, bleeding its own blood today. Sharif, boom, 173. We'll mark that down. And as for Palantir, no one makes me bleed my own blood. And poor old Robinhood, Sharif, not too good of a look from a daily perspective.
Well, the thing's
either.
up 5,007%.
You know,
I'm
but
like,
see, the thing
break,
is, like that's the funny part, Sharif, is like all of this stuff when the market shoots up, like some of these individual names go up 200%. We've seen it in the likes of the quantum names. You've seen in some of these fintech names as well. Well, guess what? The reaction to the downside is going to be equal and opposite as well too. So you have to take that into consideration and be prepared. That's why I'm actually kind of happy, even though we climbed up to 153, 154. I trimmed at 122. So I cut that in half, and sure enough, we get to buy it back already a little bit cheaper. But if we continue to bleed, we'll grab some more Robinhood there too.
As long as you don't bleed your own blood.
As long as you're not bleeding your own blood. Exactly. Right? You want to bleed other people's blood.
Can't hemorrhage everything. Joey, you need a little bit to be
hold on, Sharif.
Go ahead, Joe.
What's up? It's my B-day today, bro.
Who?
Not trading. Adam James, healing pain naturally. Happy birthday, brother.
It's also the caterer driver, his birthday today too.
Oh yeah?
I only know it because my sister's birthday was yesterday and he's one day after.
Oh, happy birthday, belated to your sister.
Well, we don't have to.
These guys like, yeah.
Nobody. I'm more excited for the driver, I gotta tell you the truth.
Yeah. Oh, if you knew how much my
he brings my food, bro.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, David. We're in that that boat, brother. Trust me, bro. Hangry wife, patience is really key. So yeah, you don't want to micromanage some things, that's for sure.
All right, I'm playing. Shout out to that. No, he's awesome, guys. Like literally, he's a great guy, man.
He's a good guy.
And you know what? There was a period in time where the bananas stopped coming in. I mentioned one comment to him, Fabian. The bananas have been flowing since that time. So he's a man that can get things done. You don't disappoint a man like that. Ooh. All right, let's go. Shout out to... No, don't say that, Ram. That doesn't work. No, seriously, though. Shout out to Casey. Casey bringing to my attention, Assassino, this beautiful gem right here. Double SP, SSP. We weaseled in at the $0.25. We just went the beak there at 30. We're layering some order. There's 30 again. Let's see if we can work a little bit higher over here on SSP. It's a 432 high. We're hanging out at highs. But you know how I feel about highs, right? They're only for the weekend. Oh. Fabian's like, no, they're not. No, so I have to have a plan for said highs, right? Because getting in at the high is a dangerous proposition. But there it is, taking out highs again. It is now a new high day, 434 on double SP. Looking for continuation. Now I'm waiting into the high 30s, but I've set up some dip trades here to defend into $4. What's at $4, you ask? Well, there is the 10 exponential moving average off which a lot of my trading is based. And then just below that at 390 is the volume weighted average price. But this one seems like it's all gas, no brakes right now, Case. Shout out to Case for pointing this one out because I didn't have eyes on this. Back up into highs we go. Looking for that pop up into the high 30s before we wet the beak on some more profits. But I think we're going to have to pack our patience as that seller at 33 is a staunchy little bugger. My man Adam, you talking about me? He's a man who can get things done. That's what I want to hear, Adam. Shout out to ADL, man. All class, Adam DeLuce. Shout out to him. And great week for England, of course. International break there, doing it live and leading their group. They're going to be killing it, hopefully, in the World Cup. On this side of the ocean, baby, because that's coming up real soon, Joey. And as I mentioned, I went to BMO Field last week for Canada versus Ecuador, and they are woefully underprepared for the World Cup, whether it comes to organization entering the stadium, cars getting there just to get to BMO Field. Forget about the parking situation, of which there is none. So a lot more work for Toronto to do. I have all the faith in Olivia Chow. I think she can absolutely get it done. If she can't get it done, there's nobody that can't get it done over here.
See, the thing is, though, for those who can't tell, he's being awfully sarcastic.
Yes.
I have zero faith in Olivia Chow. I'm just going to say it straight up. There's no way that it's going to be done correctly, I think, at the end of the day. It's going to be chaos. And I live in the thick of it. I live in the thick of it. Like, I'm literally across from my place is the BMO Field. And sometimes Liberty Village is what it's called, is absolutely disastrous. Disastrous. Like, literally, I had a traffic jam in my driveway.
Tell him, Joey.
In my driveway when Messi was here.
I know.
It was Messi.
I was there.
It was MLS. And they couldn't even get it together. Shreve, you were there, so thanks for contributing to the traffic, my boy. And
I'm sorry, bro. I'm not going to go to any games. I'm going to have no fun.
None.
Because the traffic is bad in Joey's area.
You have to watch it from home. If I see you in my neck of the woods, that's it. All right, guys, there we go on Tesla. We're going to take a little bit off here, guys, as we're starting to climb higher. A nice grab off of those lows. You can see that the overall market is selling. We're holding up relatively strong in Tesla. So we're taking it strong hand today, baby. Boom. We'll take a little piece off as we head into towards some key resistance zones. Let's go TSLA.
Let's go, Joey. Let's go. Good trade there, brother.
Thanks,
all right, here's the deal. We're in double SP. Shout out to Case. We built a position here. We got 15s long. Alas, it is showing me 12s, but I did get my $4 fill. That's what I say when I get in near highs. You're typically going to get a bit of a retracement when you're getting into highs. So have some, dip trades ready off key levels. What's my move here? I'm looking for a hold of 4 and a continuation, possibly back into the quarter of or a third of a dollar. I should tell you now that the 10 EMA and volume weighted average price are overlapping at around 395 on SSP. Keeping my eye very fixated on that one. IVVD, I said very little about. I'm waiting to take profit here at $3 for my first beak whiter. We'll see how that one does. Pack in the patience on IVVD. This is a holdover. This is a multiple day runner. Take a quick look at a wider term time frame here for IVVD. You'll know exactly what I mean. We're still taking profits over here on my other man here, ENVS. Let's go ahead and wet the beak. It's been a hot minute since we wet said beak. ENVS, we don't want to take out too much over here though. In fact, I'm going to be looking to get some more. Why do I say I want some more here? Because I perceive a flat top break possibly through that $3.25. I know 327 is the high of the day, but this is a series of higher lows. All the while, that 320 to 325, that's a hard row to hoe. So I'd like to get some more and be able to take that one through the break. There is the high of day break, Joseph, on ENVS. It is now $3.29 as said high of day. Let's go ahead and set up some dip trades. There's another high of day, 330, 335. The breakout might be on now for ENVS. Good strength there. Let's again, nothing changes for me. I'm going to be looking at picking up more off key levels. Let's go ahead and wait in the high teens. I'm going to get less shares, obviously, for the dip trades. I'm going to wait. Let's go ahead and wait here, see if we can get something in and around there. So ENVS, focusing very much on that, but we've got trades, as I mentioned, on IVVD, which we still haven't wet the beak on. And there is double SP. Finding support into 17s. We've got 15s on. There's the first beak wetter at 20. Can we get continuation? A little bit higher here, so we need good strength on double SP, excuse me. Let's see if we can take out some of these profit takers. A good hold of 4, mind you. It didn't spend all that much time at around 4. So yeah, have those resting dip trades ready to go because you never really know how long these small cap gappers will spend in any one area. So there's the other profit taker now on double SP into 22s we go. What we got on 13s now. Let's take some more out here. Still waiting for more, of course, at the $0.25, but it behooves me to throw out some more orders above the $0.25. I'm going to wait at 29s, and then we're going to go ahead and wait over here in the 30s. There's a 24 print coming in now on double SP, looking for continuation into the high there. Another beak wetter filled at the $0.25, but nothing yet in the high 20s, Joey. Yeah. There's 25s again, 26s now showing up, 29s, there's the fill, looking for more. Let's go, let's price spike up. We got shares on this one because we added 3 times. So let's go over here, 27, aggressive seller at 27. Let's see how many shares we have. We'll take off more there. Good move here for double SP Joseph options.
Yes, sir. Yo, I was gonna ask you, when you get a ticker unblocked, is it unblocked forever, or do you have to do it on a daily basis?
That's a great question. I'm pretty sure it's unblocked forever unless it probably fails the requirements. I'm assuming there are volume requirements back in the back end, Joey.
Oh,
that
yeah?
They
require?
need for things to stay unblocked.
I was just asking about AMDL. Surprisingly, that thing is it's good old
NVDL?
AMDL. Yeah, AMDL.
Dude, just send. I would send Neil.
Yeah, I'll send. I was just curious if you knew the situation there, because there it goes, man. So lots of signals across the board. Beautiful print there, beautiful print there. And then we get at the lower end of the range here on Tesla, giving us a nice little pop into that high of the day. So we like that one. I only have 1 out left here, guys, considering I was just like, punch it, let's do it, let's rock and roll. And there we go on that big time break. You got something, brother, that you want to show? Or?
We're doing well here, Joey. Right. I don't mean to interrupt, man, but double SP keeps taking out highs, man. Another high day, $4.33. Damn. We're long at 08s. We're looking for continuation into the $0.50. Let's cut the crap, right? Why would we just stop at 433? Maybe we do, but I'm looking for more. I'm not trying to be greedy, but we don't typically stop at something, a level like this once you've cleared a key level like $4. And $4 was a key level because we rejected off it earlier. So let's see if we can get up to the $0.50, if not 5, man. Let's see. I don't think I'm going to be as aggressive on the dip trades, just given where the technicals are at the moment on double SP. What do I mean by that? Well, the 10 EMA, the only real indicator that I really have here trailing the price action is south of $4. And we're trading at 4 1/3. So I don't want to be too aggressive trying to take out or trying to get more in here. So double SP will have to pack my patience. IVVD, We're taking out $3. I perceive this to be a flat top break candidate. There may be bamboozlement on the way to the flat top break. That's why I've put in a dip trade there to see if I can get some money fills. And then last but not least, look at this one, man, right up into the high, 439. We still haven't got more though, Joey. We need to get a little bit more here on ENVS. So I've set up at 18s and the 10 EMA is at 17s. You know how I feel about that. That means I got to front run the size and front run the level so that I can ensure the print. So I'm going to move it up into 20s.
All right. Yeah, I mean, guys, I see you guys talking about it in the chat. There goes Tesla. Let's go here, man. Big time move to the top side, guys. Lower end of the range, and now this thing is absolutely rocking and rolling. I mean, we could take our last out here as we punch through, or do we just continuously let it grind? The missed opportunity for me was AMD right here. I was looking to go AMDL just due to how the average true range on this is relatively high, right? And just fluctuates quite a bit, even though AMDL is 2x, but it's just the price in which it does. So there it goes, a nice bounce off of those indecision prints, almost a double bottom as well too. But aside from that, guys, let's head right back over to Tesla. As this thing is just living in its own world on today's session, Sharif. Man, boom, high of the day. Let's go.
What I tell you though, Joey?
Yeah. Should
we tell him?
Go on.
Should we tell him?
Tell him, man. Tell him.
We should probably tell him.
No, don't tell him. Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
That's crazy. Should we tell him?
All right, tell him.
Your friend, I know how much you like Elon Musk, right? I love you, bro. I'm just playing with you, right? Okay, so Elon on the weekend tweeted, does Bill Gates still have his ridiculous 8-year short up on Tesla? If he does, he better close it soon. So without influencing the markets, being a Fortune 500 CEO or a public company CEO, I think this was a coded way for him to say something's coming for Tesla. Of course, I don't have any idea. And Elon, you know, not one to use the word sparingly, to be fair, right? He likes to say a lot of words, but that's what he said. And I don't know if he's trying to imply something is coming, but he's taking aim at Bill Gates and he's saying, look, Gatesy,
watch out, brother.
There might be something over here.
He's had that on for a while, and he wasn't happy about it. He wasn't happy. But anyways, aside from that, guys,
Sorry,
great. No. What do you mean? I shouldn't say aside from that, because that was a valid point, and I think it's extremely important. But what we got going on here from a daily on Tesla is you break through the. Who is that big smile in there? No, he's not.
Who is that?
Who is he? Who's it? Who you laughing? Who are you giggling at over there?
Me?
Yeah, you're giggling.
Oh, one of the guys was writing there. It's like, when I speak, I like to use words. Shout out to John. Okay,
right,
really?
Yeah, bang. All right,
Get
just
it,
in case
John.
you didn't. Hey, shout out to Mumble team over there. Anyways, aside from that, guys, what we're looking at is you can see that we form this kind of consolidation with that neckline here. It breaks, it liquidity grabs, doesn't quite get to this previous pivot high, and then sure enough, you're getting a strong rebound in today's session. I was thinking when we were up here that we were going to punch through that 481 level. That hasn't been the case whatsoever, but maybe this is enough liquidity to that has been absorbed, right? That's like $100 from point A to point B, 20%, and then now you're starting to climb a little bit higher. Now you're only 12% off of that level. I like this a lot. There might be something brewing with Tesla, but what we got brewing up here, Shreve, is an absolute banger in TSLL.
I like
there it is, guys. We're gonna take out our last bit. We don't want to be overly greedy on today's market, but that's a nice pop to the top side in TSLL.
That's so many.
Oh, also one more thing.
Yeah.
Listen, I said this last week. I know there's a lot of individuals in the chat who wanted JDM to win on Saturday night. As soon as he got taken down in that first round, I turned it off. I said,
exactly
I'm going to
what
bed.
he said to me, by the way.
I went to bed because I knew exactly what was going to happen, and then it was a shutout, 5 rounds to none. Take down 19 minutes of ground control. That's a boring. I do not want to watch that. And that happened to me in Chicago when I went to the main event in Chicago. Hamzat Chimaev just absolutely dummied Dricus du Plessis. And I'm like, I just spent X amount of money to watch this? Are you kidding me?
I know, that's always the risk, bro.
Yeah, but there's some other good.
No, but we're going to get to it in a little bit. But the real discussion that I think we need to have is Ben, obviously, and what's his name? Eubanks.
Destroyer, man.
That was, look, I don't know too much about Eubanks before the fight in April. Like, it wasn't something, I knew his old man, obviously, no question about that. But I saw zero heart from a guy who apparently, according to his corner, had one hell of a training camp. Where the hell was the training camp, bro? He showed up with no game plan. And if the game plan was to take 7 rounds off and fight the last 5, he had another thing coming because boy tasted the canvas in the last round twice. I didn't like that.
The best part of that was his dad dancing.
And his dad, bro, is quoting scripture and stuff like that. Anyway, whatever, bro. We have to go to the big desk.
Yeah, guys, we're going to talk about crypto here, and we're going to look at some weekly charts for BTC and Ethereum especially. So we know that these ones are quite a bit down from their most recent all-time high. Bitcoin making this all-time high the week of Monday, October 6th. Been a little bit over a month since then. Now, we're actually poised for our 4th straight week of selling over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. We've only been green 1 of those weeks. So 6 out of 7 red streaks since that most recent all-time high. Lots of weakness here for BTC. Ethereum looking fairly similar. We made that all-time high roughly 2 months or a month and a half before Bitcoin did, but either way, still on this downtrend and much like Bitcoin looking to make that 4 weeks straight of selling. We'll take a look here at some of these other crypto names. Solana looking pretty similar technically here. Again, looking for its 4th straight red week, and we'll take a look at XRP, USD. Once again, 4th straight red week. So a lot of these are looking technically very similar. Bitcoin clearly having some people getting out of it. And I mean, the crypto space in general, people doing some selling here. So keep an eye on this sector and certainly be aware of these trends. It doesn't look like it's just 1 or 2 of these crypto names. It looks like it is a sector-wide issue, guys. Back to you.
The trade here on ENVS, we got out a couple of pennies below the top, is a 340 high, but I'm going to be looking at getting more in. I like that 20 penny level, but I'm going to front run it because sometimes we don't get the technical levels because there are people like degens like myself, you know, they can't wait. Their hand starts shaking. Like, I got to punch in right now. Oh my God. Right? So we're going to go ahead, wait at 22s. Let's see what we get. And of course, I am joking. I'm one of those people, obviously. So nobody get offended, please, in the chat. I'm waiting at 22s here on ENVS. Looking for the reload. 29's coming in. Let's dip down a little bit more. What's my move? So if I get in at 20s and it loses the bid, what's my move? Anything below 312 ends the trade. Why? That's VWAP. So that ends the trade automatically. Okay? Keeping an eye on IVVD, slower mover, but I see it as a possible flat top break candidate, especially if an aggressive volume candle comes in. And double SP, my best trade of the day so far. We still have shares on here, and I don't want to be holding too much on the way down, so we'll take out a little bit more there. 407, we got literally the top on this one at 436. Lots of unfilled prints, though, as you can see, into the $0.50. Looking for a hold here. The deal is, though, the prior candle goes all the way down to 4, so you're going to have to give this a lot of room if you're basing your trade on prior bar high, okay, or prior bar low, excuse me. So that's my look there. But I have to look at open door for our friend over here, Joseph.
Sean Joseph.
Sean Joseph. That's it. Sean Joseph. Let's take a look at open. Look, there's another reason to be possibly long open door. Sean was asking last week, and there was really no good answer, but I did find the answer for him. Why are Freddie Mae and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac tanking like this? Well, that's because the housing department's looking at dealing differently with mortgages. So if you're American, you obviously know that if you have a low rate mortgage, and say you've been holding that low rate mortgage for a long time and you want to buy a new house, you can't transfer that older rate into the newer mortgage. You're going to have to take a newer mortgage at a higher rate. They are looking at getting around that. So if you have a longer dated mortgage at a lower rate, you'll be able to move it to another property, something you haven't been able to do. As a result, that hurts Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, who make money off these renewals at higher rates. So something like an open door could benefit from something like that. Not financial advice. You got to do your own homework. But that is what we're talking about there. Now, on the daily, I still perceive us to be putting in a bit of a downward channel off an extended bull flag. So I would continue to play this in the same way that I spoke about last week within the range. And as you see, you've got a 2-day break of that range. So I would use the $3-day rule or the 3% rule to kind of avoid getting in on something like that. So that's my look for open door. But that's on a daily. Let's look at the 15, see if we can glean anything over here. Still a bit downward channel if you're going long. Day's low is right at 7.5. Friday's low is at 740. So I'd be getting out on 7.5. Obviously, I wouldn't be holding that into an oblivion. So open door, I like it as a possible swing and maybe even more, but make sure you got technically sound levels. Look at this one though, Joey. We didn't get the ad, man. Dang it. Dang. There goes ENVS right into the high of the day, man. 49 now showing up. 50 momentarily here. 50 showing up. Can we breach 50? The answer is yes. It's a 52 penny high. ENVS up up 50% on the day and respecting technicals quite well. Let's see if we can work into this one again, man. I tried to get some more at 20s. Front running, it didn't work. So we'll have to pack our patience, Joe.
All right, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. So there it is on Tesla, guys. So not too bad of a look whatsoever. Piecing some out, we took 66% off leading into this resistance zone. I think that's a pretty good play. Leave a little bit for a runner, and then sure enough, you climb a little bit higher. Obviously, you're going to wish, oh, I had more, but that's just not the case with this specific trade. Considering risk to reward, we play the break of around 17.25. Once it hit that, we would have been out. But there it goes, bang, 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 like a 2 or 3 to 1 on that specific trade. So now as for everything else, guys, market's starting to find a rebound, which is something positive. Look at Netflix go. I think this is going to be a great buy, especially at 110. You start to grab a little bit of nice bounce. Friday session, boom, flush to the downside. We come up Monday morning, and sure enough, you get it at $110. We'll take a look at the daily and see what we got going on after this split, and see if it's attractive. I mean, you're still down approximately 20%, 17.5 to be exact, from that high to where we're currently trading at. Support levels being broken. This is what we were referring to earlier. 115, boom. That would be 1100 or something along those lines. Boom, boom, boom. And then now you're starting to move lower. Now, as for META, this is going to turn around here. I got out. I do believe that we're slowly starting to curl over. So that downtrend, it was aggressive waterfall type price action. Now you're starting to form a base. Post up in the lower end. I think you'll have the opportunity to get 600 once again. But other than that, Sharif, I know you probably got something going on. Oh, you in that right now?
I'm trying to get in, man. Remember,
okay.
It didn't let me in at the 20 penny area.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Yeah, keep an eye out on that over there. So bang, there goes the SPY and the Qs, heading right back towards opening price. We're actually a little bit north of that right now. It's 609.96 OP. 608.57 is opening price, and we're about $1 above that, which is an absolute beautiful rebound in this market. Stealing that from our guy, Obi here, absolutely beautiful without any form of questioning. Let's take a look at the top performing sectors before we send it back over to our boy here and see what he's got cooking up, because I think that's going to be really important, as it always is. You want to find where there's relative strength and avoid everywhere that there isn't. So there it is, our old trusty board over here, bang. All right, leading the way, guys, we have the utility sector up 0.9%, the communication services roughly the same thing, and then the healthcare sitting in that show place, 0.75%, and then we have the tech sector down 0.5%. Financials taking it on the chin as well too, down 0.5%, and then the energy getting Jack Dellum Madalena right now and bodied.
What does that
down.
mean?
He's getting bodied essentially, down 0.7%.
Poor soul. All right, guys, we're in at ENVS. Where we got here, Joey? We got 59s or whatever. There goes 72. I'm posted at 77 and then 82. Looking for, there's 75. Let's see if we can get continuation. Seller at 75. Big boy seller at 75. Can't shake him, can't shake him. Feel like a fighter pilot that can't shake the guy behind me. You ever watch any of the
Top Gun?
Yeah, Top Gun there. Did you ever watch Independence Day with Will Smith?
Oh, years and years
Remember
ago.
they were flying the Super Hornet there, and they're trying to shake the alien craft who's way more maneuverable. Yeah,
No, unfortunately I don't.
Crazy, bro. How do you not know that movie? But how do I know that movie and you don't know that movie, bro? And I'm the worst movie person. All right, Assassino, get him. He does it to me all the time. Seller at 74, he sets me up for failure. He doesn't mean to do it. I just suck. All right, so looking for continuation here on ENVS, man. We still have a couple of more shares left. This is the second time we've entered into ENVS. It's been a good one. Let's see if it stays a good good one. We keep putting in lower highs on the 5-second chart, of which I'm looking at my top screen. When I do look at the top screen there, and my eyes are not on the bottom of the camera, that's where I'm looking. I use the 5-second chart to spot, you know, localized areas of support and resistance. It's kind of just like looking at the tape and tape reading, but it's just more of a visual aid than anything else, okay? So that's what I'm looking at right now, looking for continuation there, nothing doing. If it comes into my level, I think I might flatten out below 60, and then we'll just get back in if it's warranted. But we're putting in lower highs, and I'm on an alert to that. It was a 77 seller, then it was a 75 seller, and now it's a 70 seller. So the shorts or the profit takers getting more aggressive on every successive pop. Lower high, lower high, lower high. Here comes, I'm just going to throw in my stop so that I don't have to make any subjective decisions. If it loses 60, I'm out of the trade. Simple as that. IVVD, pleased with this one because we got a dip trade right into VWAP and it's popping right back up. Still no profits. So let's wet the beak over here. We have some shares so we can wait for a $3 pop. I just got, pardon me, stopped out of ENVS as it did lose 60, which is fine with me. Even if it continues here, I'll set up a little bit differently on this one, but it is losing the bid. 55 is now showing up. What are my levels on this? The same levels I spoke about last time. Nothing's really changed. The 20 penny level is where I see price action support, but if you're looking for indicators, the 10 EMA now is in the high 30s. I'm talking about 337. But this one looks like it's still holding trend. So if you're looking at prior bar low, 348, current bar low, 355 or 356. So still holding trend, Joey, even if it did put in an ugly topping tail candle like that into 78s. Ugly. It's quite ugly. So that's what we're looking at there. I'm talking about ENVS, guys.
Cool stuff. All right, good stuff there, brother. So ATG, yeah, we're going over some of Sharif's names as well, too. You can see that we're running into liquidity issues, so we'll just void a lot of these out. DVLT. Wow, were you trading this one today?
DVLT? No, yeah. But it's right there. So
it's like, right oh, there, you got it? Yeah, it's looking pretty good right now,
Not
brother.
Bad at all,
yeah,
brother.
Nice VWAP bounce on that one. 49 million shares traded on the session. And then QUBT, what is this doing up there? It's that bad? Oh, no. It fell into
the quantum name?
Yeah,
oh,
it fell into that world, Sharif. That's a little bit more expensive. So we're just going to go through some of the higher volume names. WDC. I'm not too bad, but only 3.17 million there. Other than that, I don't see too much going on for me personally. DVLT is definitely going to be the one. As you can see that we failed to construct a new high of the day, starting to come back in to that $2.09 level. So keep that in mind there, folks. Now, as for BABA, we took those hits on it earlier today. I don't think I'm going to continuously try to short this name, considering, but that is a pretty good print. Maybe you get a little bit of a move, but these candles are just continuously overlapping, and that I don't like. I like the momentum style plays with specific direction. So we'll be patient, wait for something good. This Tesla was an absolute banger as it's continuing to climb, up over 3.5% on the session. So fantastic step, closer to 4, considering this is a 2 to 1 leverage there. Meta not doing too much. We're out of that trade in the swing. Sure. Gorev, I don't know if anybody else is in there. Where's Lowe's been at? Has he been trading his Jag in the chat today as well, too? I know he's on vacation. Just seeing what everybody is up to. I know it's Adam James's birthday. We got Mike Peter Ryder in there as well. Drop Systems, what's cooking. Dinkelberg, obviously, as well. So if there's any specific names that you guys want to go over or take a look at, let's go over here because this is what I had to construct with my IBIT contracts here. So you can see this is going to be December 19th. We're writing like the 62s or something along those lines, collecting $61 on those, which isn't bad whatsoever. We were writing 65. So essentially what I've constructed now in a near dated term is a credit spread. But what I have in the long contracts, let's pull those over and I'm going to show you the numbers in which they are now worth is not good, right? So, I mean, I bought those for $10. They're worth $4.30. So that is in 179 days. We've seen Bitcoin go into multi-month long consolidations and bleed for an extended period of time. So I have to write after write after write. And then as soon as we can get a bounce anywhere up into the 60s or anything along those lines, if that happens in the next couple of months, then I'm out of there for sure. All right, let's take a look. Want to take a look at IREN, and that's contract-wise. Right? We hold the long term.
Everybody loves it. You know, like that's like one of the more popular names now on like Wall Street bets.
IBIT?
IREN.
IREN? Yeah. We'll take a look at that one there.
Love it.
We got a couple of things in the chat. So Take a look at IREN. All right, let's go over that first, and then we see unique trades. Can you take a look at Cisco? Yeah, absolutely. We'll go over those before we send it back to Sharif, and then we'll take a look at the latter halves after. Not too bad. It is somewhat forming a bull flag, but you have to take into consideration that we're forming these consistent lower highs, but you have higher lows as well, too. So off of those base and the opening price really starting to compress, giving you that wedge-type price action. We'll take a look at the daily to see what we got going on, and it's just following the overall market. I think you have to take that into consideration. Down 39 to 40%, a little bit more, 45% from peak to trough. So you want to hold on maybe to that just before, who knows, you may take that additional leg. And then we will see Oscar Health, and see what that is up to. Ooh, that's ugly. See, this is complete polar opposite. Lots of consolidation. I would avoid that at all costs. Or maybe not all costs, but CSCO. But for me, that's not my liking. Cisco looking absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I was trying to find that tweet and I couldn't find it. I wonder if he was responding to somebody. I'll have to search it of Elon. I want to like say exactly what he said so that I'm not paraphrasing it and butchering it. But yeah, I can't seem to find it now. I'll have to look for it after. All right, I got back into ENVS because it did take out that 70 seller, but it's still a lower high. 78 is the high of the day. The high of this candle is 74. I'm gonna stop out through the $0.50. Okay, it's actually below the $0.50 because the low of this candle is 53. So it has to hold trend. Okay, I don't want to give too much back over here. So if it loses trend, I'm gonzino. This current candle just opened up. The 5-minute candle just opened up a new candle here. 68's now showing up, looking for continuation into the high 70s, low 80s on ENVS. Seller at 68 that we can't shake at the moment, and we haven't been able to shake him because now we go down into 66s, 65s. So looking for trend continuation, but we may not get it. 68 showing up again, seller at 68 again. So we know that it's a recurring theme, 68 being targeted here. Keeping an eye also on IVVD, looking to wet the beak there. We're not really rocketing up. I don't want to take out too much. I'm looking for a flat top break, but double SP, here we go again. We're at the high of the day again on double SP. 436. We're showing 36 right now on the ask. It's a 1 penny spread, 35 on the bid. There's certainly a seller that's hidden because nothing is coming off the gateways. You're seeing nothing being posted nor taken off. There is the new high a day now. 37s now on double SP. Looking for more continuation, but the volume is like at a snail's pace. I'm waiting at 39s for a pop up there. Nothing doing, back down into 35s we go. So a new high a day, but no continuation, back in the 37s. Okay, so the buyer's seeing this. It's ringing up on their scanners, their searches. New high a day, so they start weaseling into it. We're already alive to this one, so let's see what we get. 37 showing up again. I don't want to take out anything here on double SP. I want a new break into the high. 38's there. That's a new high a day at 38, but I'm posted at 39, so won't print until we cross said 39 penny level. That's what I'm looking at. SGBX was being spoken about by somebody in the chat. I didn't get involved in this one because it's trading below the volume weighted average price. I'm talking about this bad boy here. VWAP on SGBX 86 or 85. Keep your eye on that. It could certainly break trend, right? And the trend right now on SGBX is a very, very clear lower high, right? So why would I get involved with that one as a long? That's just asking for trouble, okay? So let's move back now to ENVS because I'm seeing on my side chart that this one's weaseling back into the low 70s. We have higher lows, but we also have lower highs. Case in point, prior bar high, 74. Current bar high, 73. We got to break trend. It's fantastic to have higher lows, but it also sucks to have lower highs. Well, I'm in this for the long, baby. I'm not in this to watch a compression pattern, manifest with no prints. So looking for a move into the 80s because 78 penny is the high, Joey. ENVS. There we go. 73s now. 74 showing up. No continuation. 74 showing up again. How about 75? Barely able to show up on the tape there as we got 1 or 2 prints green at 75, but the rejection comes in again. Let's see if we can get a little bit higher. 74 monster seller, 74, 75 seller. All right, can we take that 75 seller out? Oh, he's gone. 77s now. Let's go. Let's go for continuation. 78 just showed up momentarily, but down we go again, Joey. Into 72, No strength through the high of the day, quite yet. Still waiting at 82.
All right, good stuff there, guys. For sure, nice trading, Sharif. So Apple's starting to bounce as well, too. This isn't correct. I know the volume-weighted average price isn't all the way up there, so I don't know why it is. Someone's saying Microsoft going green as well, too. Oh, Kalua, happy belated birthday. Don't forget, if we didn't see your chat, Sharif, she left you and I a kind message. She said, thank you, guys, for one full year. I've been with you guys watching every day. I love y'all, Sharif. Joseph, 24th birthday 2 days ago.
No
on
way.
the 15th, spent it wishing I could trade.
You're almost, he's younger than Ram Ram.
He's young, yeah.
Yeah, Ram Ram's 25
she's younger
now, bro.
than Ram Ram, yeah, for sure. Ram,
Oh no, Joey, there goes the high. The shorts got decimated. I told you, run for your life, shorts.
Yeah.
They're coming for you, baby. A new high day, Joseph options into 88s. Shout out to my man, CD. We played tonight, by the way, and I don't have a lot of hope there. Don't say anything, Neil. I thought he was going to come at me. All right, 395. I'm posting at 95s. ENVS looks like it's destined for 4 here, Joey options. 388 high day. There's been no break-in trend of higher lows. I want to say since that green candle that posted up at 1110. So it's been a very clear higher low continuation. There's 88s again.
There it goes,
Can we
man.
clear 88? Show them what you're looking at, Joey.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at ENVS as well, too, brother, as it's continuing to climb higher.
Okay.
Bitcoin with a nice, strong pop here as well, too, guys, heading in towards the volume-weighted average price. So keep that in mind. And Daniel B., I agree everything with what you have to say in the chat. So, yeah, it is what it is, brother. So, anyways, aside from that, so there it is, 382, now continuing to climb higher. I'm not going to chase it all the way up there, but nice trading on that. Sharif, Rusty Dutch, short Bitcoin from here. All right, cool, good stuff. Lots of shorts, and by all means, let's take a look at MicroStrategy. It's been absolutely disastrous, man. I mean, you want to talk about having a really bad time? I wonder what's going on with Michael Saylor in his head right now. It's like, oh,
I think he's just like, where can I buy?
Where can you buy some more?
Who wants to loan me any more money?
Yeah, but would you want to loan Michael Saylor more money if he's down 65% off of that $550 high?
I'd have to look. I think he's still heavily in the money, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I think his average price is like in the 60s or something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
But even
Joey, let's we could have had so many opportunities in the past 3 years to crap all over this guy, right? With 2022, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
But my issue is that his projections on the earnings were based off of Bitcoin hitting 150K. Right, so that's not good, right? Like that's not too good of a look whatsoever. Let's take a look at BMNR as well, see what that one's been up to. Breaking through that downtrend and heading towards some key lows. The difference is that you can stake this and generate a yield. And I like what Katina Man down 80%, by the way, off of this $160 level down to where we're currently trading at, 80%. So that's an ugly haircut. I have a couple friends that were heavily invested. I'm like, hey man, good work. This thing is going absolutely nuts, but that doesn't seem to be the case right now. So now, as for AMD, guys, starting to form a consolidation right below the volume-weighted average price. But we've talked about this. Look at Tesla go, 1802. This is insane. A nice move higher. You want to keep an eye on what's going on at 18. Yeah, this guy's thinking about.
I have to. It's driving me nuts, man. I read it on.
Oh, you're gonna look for that. Yeah, you're gonna look for that tweet. So there it is. Watch for this to hold, and if you break through that with some nice momentum, then I think you can continue and most definitely head towards that high of the day. But there's this V-shaped pattern that we've talked about on multiple occasions. You have this consolidation being formed, then you have that V-shaped recovery, form a consolidation. You can get off on, if you can get in off of these lows, I like your chances of going to test this high of the day, and that's going to put you around 248, especially with AMD. This thing's a monster, and anything can happen at any given moment with this name.
Here's what he wrote, word for word, Joey. Quote, if Gates hasn't fully closed out the crazy short position he has held against Tesla for approximately 8 years, he uses that squiggly thing, I forgot the name of it, he had better do so soon. Posted November 16th, 2025, 11:53 a.m. GMT. Okay? I don't know why I wasn't able to find it, but here it is. There it is.
There it is.
There it is right there.
Give you the link.
Okay? So, I don't know what's brewing, what Elon has, up his sleeve, but my initial thought when I saw this was he doesn't want to have another funding secured moment where he gets slapped by the regulator for making statements, of course, as a public company CEO. So he just says things like through innuendo like this. I'm just speculating, entirely speculating here, but that's a look. Joey, I got to cover this. ENVS rockets up to 4. So we got the beak wet there at 97's the last. I do expect, of course, resistance when it comes to 4, and that's exactly what we're seeing. We're going to close out the position here, and if it can get above 4 and stay above 4, I'll participate back into this one. I don't have to have bottom wick. ENVS, a rocket ship on the day to the tune of 63%. And it's got 4 in its sights, or there it seems. There goes a SSP into an area high. We're going to wet the beak here as well into 443. Good strength on this one. We got 407, shut it to the highway on this one. And now we're going to wait above that $0.50. I'm going to wait at 455. Okay, so let's see if we can get that continuation on the monster double SP. It's been a very good higher high, higher low pattern on this bad boy with very little in the way of bamboozlement, quite frankly. And it is a 1 penny spread and has stayed as a 1 penny spread for as long as I've been watching it. So good look here for double SP. Last but not least, I want to mention this IVVD trade. We're still holding this, man. 95s, I've got 93s. It's got such a top at $3, but you know I'm gonna stay convicted on this one. I do think that we can get through 3. I just may have to pack my patience. He's here. A big smile of his. Shout out to Big Smile. Sharif.
Yeah.
Joseph. Can I read this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Make sure. Imagine being one of the richest men in the world and still worrying about what someone else might think of your company. Come on, Muskie. Look, you know, I think you're right. You're absolutely right, Big Spal. But if I'm right that he's kind of not wanting to make statements so he doesn't raise the ire of the regulator, then this would be kind of, you know, just another way of getting that hint out there that something big was coming. I don't know. But you're absolutely right. If you take it in the literal sense, he really shouldn't be worrying too much about what Gates is doing. And hey, man, if Gates is wrong, the market will prove him wrong, right? So he stands to lose from this a lot if Gates is wrong again, or I mean if he's right, he stands to make a lot of money, obviously. But Tesla, let's cut the crap though, man. Tesla's been super rangy lately, man. One day I'll come in, Joey, it's at $460. The other day it's down to $400. Let's just show them the daily here on Tesla Assassino before we head on over there. Yeah, there's that 460 top that we keep putting in, you know, with a couple of wicks maybe into the 70s, but generally 60. And then we keep bouncing up. We were bouncing off 440, but we've been giving that up in spades. So to me, the Tesla support is kind of glaring at 375. We kind of put in a few tops. Looks like we may have put in that bottom already on Friday. I don't know. Right back up again we go here on TSLA. Good strength on the day. When, you know, it's a mixed bag in Mag 7 world, for example, you've got Microsoft flat, Meta down, Apple down, Google's rocketing, Amazon's down, Tesla's up, Nvidia's down. So no consensus, Joey, on how the market is going to operate on the day. So,
yeah, for sure.
All right, guys, we're going to pause for a second, Joey. Now we're going to send you to the big desk for happening now. Then Neil's got his lesson of the day.
Good stuff, guys.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can really see this lack of consensus reflected in the performance of the Nasdaq, which is super range bound today. We've got low here roughly at 605, which we had at the open, and then again here around 1115, and high of day around 612. We've really traded within that $7 range on the Nasdaq all day. Let's talk about some of these catalysts today. We do have earnings on watch. Once again, a lot of retail names reporting earnings later this week, including Walmart. We've got Lowe's. We have Home Depot tomorrow morning. And Nvidia, of course, is going to be the big one after the bell on Wednesday. But XPeng also here with their earnings. They actually missed on revenue, but year-over-year growth in a lot of segments, including revenue for XPEV. I want to talk as well about Netflix. Netflix just underwent a stock split, 10-for-1. This is their first day trading post-split. This infographic just posted here on X at GTV Research shows you the performances post-split for about 4 weeks and then up to now for some of the 6 major names here that actually underwent stock splits last year. Now, last but not least, I do want to remind you guys, we know what's happening now, but what's happening later today? Well, at 1 p.m. Eastern, we are going to get Fed's Kashkari, who is known for being a little bit more hawkish than some of his peers. He's going to be talking at 1. I'll cover that for you guys. It'll be in roughly an hour when he begins to speak. We'll have Fed's Waller later in the afternoon, and then after hours, one of the more hawkish Fed members right now, Fed's Logan. So lots to look out for. And before we send you over to Neil for an exciting lesson of the day, we're going to take a moment to thank our friends at Origin. Because each year, 3.8 million concussions are reported in the U.S., but there's still no FDA-approved treatment. NYSE-listed Origenics, or OGE, and is changing that with its first-in-class intranasal drug, designed for rapid brain access. With the concussion treatment market projected to reach $8.9 billion by 2027, Origenics is uniquely positioned to lead the way. Learn more. Schedule a meeting today. Make sure to like and subscribe, and get ready to hear Neil's lesson of the day. Neil, take it away.
Thank you very much there, Adair. Lesson of the day is not going to be something that's entirely new, but it's been a while since I made this point and saw 3 pretty decent examples that made it really pertinent today. And that's, we always talk about liquidity, and one of Obi's favorite lines is, "I will provide the liquidity." Now, he might have been talking about something else, but where you provide liquidity as a trader does matter. And oftentimes it's where you want to be making decisions, or at least waiting until it gets to that point to make decisions. So one of the first things when looking at a stock that you want to trade is to look at the points where you have obvious, whether you want to call it liquidity replenishment points or support and resistance on the chart, where you might just be running away from these prices. So Alphabet has a few of them, obvious to be able to see, like this 75, 76. We don't trade there today, but once you break that level, it's like, well, where's the next point up that you might want to look for? So you look for 2 things. 1, consolidation in and around a level, or running away from a level. Runs away down, runs away up, runs away, spike in. So you see a level here where it's like, okay, well, when we're indecisive, we can chop around there. When we're breaking away from it, we're really moving away from it. Those are places where you want to make decisions. Obviously, that's easy to put and say, well, then Google was a long from there, but ultimately, you could have been, say, short in Alphabet and said that's a place to take profit because you're letting it work down into that level. But if you zoom out first, see where those liquidity points are, then you can take advantage of them. The other place where this was, I don't want to call it obvious, but one where you might want to have looked at is have a quick look at Palantir. Now, it's one of the things that a lot of traders might do is, well, when you break down on Palantir, oh, this is no longer support at $170. Yeah, that's an easy way. It's one way to look at it. The other way to think about it is, well, what happens when we trade off of that price? And when we're trading off of that price area, you're consolidating, running away from it. You're consolidating above. And today, you're supporting above it. And even on Friday, when we were gap through, well, everything was going crazy at the open. Where did the first support came in? The first red candle on Palantir dipped into that same price level. So you now know, hey, there's a liquidity replenishment point every time it wants to hold 170. And then multiple times today, it's held the 170 level. The other, just a side note here for Palantir, ooh, that's really cool behind me. Just a side note for Palantir, see that support in the afternoon turning into resistance. So 174 support into 174 resistance as well. And I'll throw you one last one, and that was Apple on some weird, it was a couple of headlines for Apple, but this one's even crazier. Why? Because Apple has had this same point for 2 weeks now. Go all the way back to the beginning of the month, and it's been holding about 266 change. Holds again, holds again. And it's been a choppy mess in Apple because you have that bottom that gets put in. It gives you an obvious area of support. And then you've got this low. Where does that coincide with? Look at all of the chop here as well. So you have consolidations around a level. When it breaks away, it runs away. Breaks away, it runs away, runs away, runs away. So that's a place to look for dip. And what happens today? When it runs into it in the other direction, that's where you make decisions. Now, whether that decision is get out of longs or look for shorts, it doesn't matter. But in between those price points, you want to be waiting. I mean, a lot of trading isn't, and this is just from my personal experience, so I'm just going to tell you what I've seen. A lot of trading profitably doesn't have much to do with predicting what direction things will go, and has more to do with figuring out at what price areas to transact and make decisions. From there, you make your decision one way or another. But it's seeing where that next point that liquidity is going to go to that ends up being a little bit more important. If you like short, are you patient enough to wait for it to get to the next liquidity point? If you're in a long, are you holding it until it gets to that liquidity point and not throwing away profits or potential profits? So identifying those on a higher time frame. If you like 15, use a 15. If you like a 30, I mean, I've settled in on a 15 every now and then. I might go to a 30-minute chart for those types of areas. And it just makes you a little more precise as a day trader and when you are being patient. Now, bets can be off when things go parabolic at the open or move on news. But when you're in the normal range-bound trading of the day, zoom out, look for those liquidity points. Try to hold your winners into them. Try to wait to execute in the other direction until they get to those levels. And how about that nice skyline behind me? Looking really, really cool. There you got the CN Tower. Yeah, love what you guys are doing back there, Fabian. Can't wait till we get we'll have the desk behind me too. We can light that up with some stuff. So there's your lesson of the day. Good luck, everybody.
Good luck, Chuck. Good luck, Chuck. All right, guys, there goes Tesla. Yeah, it looks really good back there. Maybe we get this level out of there as well, too. Make it a little bit better. But right there's my house. I'm pointing at it. There's my house right there. You guys can see it on the screen. Obviously, being sarcastic, you cannot see it. But no, aside from that, guys, there goes Tesla putting in a new high of the day, 424.10. AMD still consolidating around the volume-weighted average price, so that's something to keep an eye out on. Netflix now climbing up to 111.36. That's a pretty good look as the market is heading towards the high of the day. The SPY is relatively closer to it than what the TQs are here, so this is the Nasdaq QQQs. High of the day around 612. We're trading around 610.70, so not horrible. I wouldn't be surprised if we continue on this trajectory, that we surpass this and continue to climb a little bit higher. We want to correlate it with the daily as well. Is this going to be a solid bounce day? Potentially. You can see we have a little bit of a hammer candle being formed. Still some buying pressure, or sorry, some selling pressure still within those prints. So keep an eye out on this for close. We are only 4.33% off of those highest, Sharif.
All right, man. Back into ENVS, looking for a hold at around the $0.50. The volume-weighted average price a little bit lower. We're at the 10 EMA right now. We're at 58s. There's been a seller at 58, 59, and 60 for a long time. There's 59 again. Still can't shake that seller as we're still lower than the prior bar high, which is 65. So the way we change trend here is we need to make the first 5-minute candle to make a new high, which we're having a whole lot of trouble doing because we're unable to make that new area high. So packing the patience over here. We're in at 58s. There are 60s showing up. Still no continuation, as you can see, above 60, though. So a lot of weakness. Well, I don't want to say weakness, but certainly, you know, the profits being taken here or the shorts are liking what they see. So keep an eye on that. Double SP, though, we're still holding on to this one from 07. This one has a prior bar low of 420.5. This current bar low is 423, so it holds area low for now. Okay, we still have 4 minutes left on this 5-minute candle. 444, the high of the day. It drops on one huge red candle. I'm talking about double SP. Most notably, though, still holds trend, because it's still above the 10 EMA on the 5, which is showing me 17s or 18s. So question for me is, do I add? I think I will, because there's a buyer here at 20, and we've seen support at 20 before. So let's see if we get that support right here. And I don't have too much left on double SP, so if I do get stopped out, it'll be for a little bit. So let's go ahead and stand right there. I'm just gonna give this one a quick look. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead, punch in a little bit more here on double SP, and I'm gonna give this to a shekel or two below the 10 EMA on the 5. So let's go ahead and do that. We're gonna go right there. We'll go all the way down to here. And there we have it. Good. So now, since we've already punched some in and we've changed our cost basis dramatically from 07 to 20, let's go ahead and put some profit takers up in this you-know-what. So let's go ahead and post here, and then we're going to post at 35s as well. So looking for a nice move up on this bad boy. That's what I'm looking at there. IVVD, I got stopped out. So this one was holding trend quite well. It comes into VWAP. It loses VWAP and breaks below that 1140 bar, which was the area low. So this one's putting in lower lows. That's not why I'm in long for the lower low. So we flatten out for a bit of a loss on the remaining amount on that one. So the only trades I've got on now is the reload on SP and ENVS. I'm looking for ENVS to hold the $0.5, hold VWAP, hold the 10 EMA on the closing print, and then rock it right back up. But it's not doing that at the moment, so I'm gonna have to pack my patience. So that's it. That's all I've got for now. Taking a quick look at the screen above to see if there are any new small cap gappers weaseling their way onto the scene. Don't see any quite yet. And as always, though, if there are, tag myself or Joseph, let us know what's moving, and we'll get right down to it. If it's tradable, we'll trade it. If it's not, we'll tell you why we're staying away from it, Joey. So that's what I'm looking at right now, ENVS and SP. What do you got, brother?
Good stuff there, guys. Yeah, ENVS starting to pull back a little bit, as you've been talking about throughout the day. There goes some of the other names. So I want to run through the scanner and see if we can talk about something else. And the 8 names that I have up here continuously. So IBIT starting to come back in, rejecting the volume weighted average price. Daniel B and Rusty Dutch and I having some good conversations within the chat. It's great to hear different perspectives about different assets for sure without any questioning. So we'll keep that in mind. And he's thinking some stuff that if you want to go back, you can read it yourself and see what we've been talking about. There goes Microsoft though. Not too bad of a look as it's climbing a little bit higher. Let's take a look at this from a daily perspective as well too, guys. So you can see that we started to form this base, but we're now at the top end of the range, so that's not horrible whatsoever. Just keep an eye out on this potential double top as well. We've snapped the neckline, but we haven't had the ability to hold below that, so this just shows you some potential strength within that specific asset. You can see Tesla starting to come in off of those highs as well, too, at 421.19. I just don't think that this pullback is going to be overly aggressive, so keep an eye on the volume profile, and that's going to determine a lot on whether we continue to move higher and grind higher and higher, or we start to sell, come back into VWAP. So that's our game plan there. ENVS still coming in from 340. That high of the day was $4. So that's 60 cents off of that. Netflix, same thing. So guys, what you can notice here is that the same pattern across the board on multiple tech names. So essentially what you want to do is just find which direction, as simplistic as it may sound, is obviously not that easy. But if we're failing to construct new highs on Qs, SPY, Microsoft, Netflix, Tesla's the only one going oppo. AMD failed to construct a new high as well too. And if we take a look at Apple and see what that one's up to, if that failed to construct a new high, and which it currently is, then maybe it's a continuation to the short side. And I think that's something important and that we need to note. No, that's not real, is it?
Oh, it's as real as it gets.
No way.
I was telling Brendo today, he didn't know either.
I didn't know. I didn't know that. Wow.
Apparently, it's a well-known thing, and I had no idea.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's insane. Well, hey, I mean,
Hey.
yeah, I mean,
It explains a lot.
Well, IPO, and then sure enough, and then we'll be all right.
We'll find out immediately.
Exactly. So Netflix coming back in, guys. So maybe there's going to be a potential short there. Run through the scanners one more time, but I'm just not seeing anything that we're in love with right now, Shree.
Yeah, guys, I got stopped out of both ENVS and SP as they both broke trend. I still like both of them, but they've got to regain trend again. So let's see how these bad boys set up. I don't know. I think I put my stop a little bit too high on SP, and yeah, I should have been putting it at the 10 EMA because it looks like it defended the 10 EMA. Let's see how this one ends up doing. If it gets above 30, I think I'll take that trend break. But at the moment, right now, I'm not liking anything, guys, because everything is not trending in the right direction. I only take these long. So 2 things have to happen for me to get back into ENVS and SP. Let's talk right about them. So ENVS has to print the first 5-minute candle will make a new high, so it can, stop the blood of the downtrend. So if it was to break on this current candle, we'll have to get above 360 for me to get in. It really will depend on what the prior candle's high was. I'm not going to base it on 360, it's based on prior candle high. So ENVS, that's what I'm looking for there. SP, I'm going to kind of wait for the same thing. If we can get a move above 30, $4.30, I'll get back into that one. But I don't want to give too much on winning trades. So give back too much, I should say, on winning trades. A lot of people have been asking me about SGBX, and I really want to get into this. I mean, I don't mind it. I don't mind the look of it so much. It's got a great bull flag that broke out right, 5 minutes before the open, right 9:25. We pop up, we consolidate. It gets another volume spike at 10 after 10. Rockets all the way up into the high day, 318. But since that time, we've been putting in lower highs, and they've been unbroken, right? You ever hear that CrossFit brand called Unbroken?
No, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, because that's the thing in CrossFit. If you can do it, whatever it is, unbroken without resting.
Yeah.
So they started making a brand called Unbroken.
I liked Rogue for a
Rogue was
time.
pretty sick.
Yeah,
Rogue was good.
It's still sponsored by them, right?
Yeah.
How come they haven't dropped any of the new
CrossFit?
Yeah, like the games, the
High Rocks
documentaries.
is eating its lunch.
No way.
High Rocks is dominating.
So do you think
Brendo's
that's
got High Rocks at his gym?
Yeah, at LT, it's right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's across the
Everybody's
street
talking
from me.
about High Rocks and nobody's talking about CrossFit anymore. Can I tell you, having done CrossFit for like almost 2 years, it's a bit of a cult, bro.
It is a big time cult.
Yeah, and like when the Open comes around, it's like you live and die by the Open. It's like my life is not going to revolve around the Open, okay?
What does that mean, the Open?
The Open, it's like the 3 different workouts that's standardized, and everybody's tests or everybody's results are compared. And then you see where you rank worldwide.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There's 3 different
the
ones,
regionals and stuff like that. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, yeah.
The Open, and then from the Open you go to regionals, and then from regionals you go to the CrossFit Games, and I don't know where they're doing it now. Anyway, digressing there, but all good. So that's what I'm looking for, guys. Double SP, got to make a first 5-minute candle, make a new high. Same thing with ENVS. If we can get above 360 or wherever the prior bar is, that's what we're going to get in. But for the moment, there's nothing setting up in my way. So tag myself or Joe if you can tell us any new small cap gappers that are running.
All right, yeah, nice work there, Katina, man. Nice short there on the TQs. He's saying he's been in there almost 70 cents now, just like that. As the overall market failed to construct a new high, and this is what we were talking about earlier in the day. So nice little trade, Katina, man. And we know you got that one working for you. PLTR was your short of the day, without any questioning. As you can see, you get in. When I was looking at a chart, top tick up here at 174-ish roughly, and then takes that move all the way down to 170 with a couple reloads. So prime time price action, especially in the midst of all of this choppy PA. Like that's not easy to navigate. So way to grab that up there and take that nice leg to the downside there, brother. Nice work, nice work. But yeah, aside from that, guys, is what we're talking about. So we didn't get that breakup that we were looking for in AMD. It's just a consistent downtrend, a trend to the downside, I should say. Failed to construct that new high, not too good of a look, so that's still fully intact. Those bases are holding up. We had this indecision print off of those lows, which gave us a bump up into the volume weighted average price, but you see the selling pressure within these 5-minute candle prints start to step in once again as well too, and then sure enough, boom, you take that additional leg lower. Are we gonna head towards the low of the day? I don't know. You can see this is the opening price right here around 242. The low of the day is 241. You don't get quite there on the second attempt. So maybe they needed to absorb some more liquidity for that move to the downside, or it's just chop, and then sure enough, you have the compression within the price, and you find a specific direction after that. You want to follow the volume profile. That's going to tell you worlds, especially once we get these price compression patterns. You have those, you have that flat base or that flat top, and then you have that wedge starting to form. Once that volume steps in, you'll be able to pick a definitive direction. So we'll keep an eye on AMD for now, Sharif, and then we'll also take a look at what the quantum names have been up to. They're starting to break down as well, too, guys. These have been choppy, though, over some time. I remember I was trading RGTI last week, and it did the exact same thing. A lot of overlapping candles, and before it makes that leg, it absorbs a lot of liquidity. So there's QBTS now heading towards some key support levels. I think you can only touch the support level so many times before you do break, but you can see that the volume is stair-stepping down. We want to see that increase before we take that short.
Oh no, Bitcoin's dropping again, Joey.
Yeah,
rejecting 95. How low do you think we get on this one?
But how long?
How low do you think we get on Bitcoin?
Low? Oh, I don't think it's going to be good, man, because just from what I'm looking at right now, we have that trend intact. But I mean, I think that we go a little bit lower. Yeah, I would have to agree. What I would definitely be looking for to hold on a closing basis is that 80,000 area. But take a look. Like this is kind of what I don't want. I don't want a lower high,
right? Sorry, a lower low, pardon me.
Yeah.
So if we break through 75, that's a lower low, and that, I think, opens up the door to a lot more blood.
Yeah,
but if we hold that 80 area, that would be an add area for me, because then, well, not 80, but, you know, holding above 80, if you're at 82, 80, 85 and a half, that's a higher low, and that's a trend continuation. So.
Yeah. You know what does? Daniel B in the chat has been putting up some very valid points, and I was saying this a long time as well too. They're all the way up there, but he was just speaking some facts. But I just to dumb it down, to break it down a little bit. I was saying this for some time, is that the second half of the halving cycle is typically stronger than the first one. So then the first half, right? So the first 2 years typically weak. Second half is when you have those rallies. But anyways, his data points say that you typically see a 75% retracement off of those highs in that first half of the halving cycle. So that would put Bitcoin at an absolutely disastrous price, around $50,000. Yeah. But he's not wrong. Those are the actual, because I've read up on this multiple times, and I'm like, and I've said it on multiple occasions that typically the second half is stronger. So that would be 26 to 28. When did we have it? No, in 25 we did, in April, right? Or 24 did we have?
No, April of this year.
Yeah. So so it'd be 20. It'd be 27, 28 that is going to be relatively stronger. So.
I agree. All right, guys, here we go. It looks like ENVS might be changing trend. This is the first 5-minute candle to make a new high for a while. Let's see if we can get that continuation. What do we got there? We got 55s. They still do have a breakout trade, though. So when I saw the bit stepping up and it bottoming tail off VWAP, look, we're not out of the woods at all. All we did was just print the first 5-minute candle to make a new high. But that doesn't mean we're decidedly breaking trend. We do have a higher high and a higher low on the 5-minute candle relative to the prior 5-minute candle, but no, not rocketing up by any means, shape, or form. 61 seller now. Can we move up a little bit more? If we break above 61, I do have an order to trigger for a breakout trade. Although it doesn't really mean a breakout trade because I'm already long at 55. So that's my look there. Looking as well, of course, at double SP. This is breaking trend. It just came into the volume weighted average price, which is at 408. Let's see what this one does. If it holds VWAP, we can have a conversation. If it loses VWAP, what I'll be watching is that $4 level. Given that VWAP's around 408, 409, it probably is a good idea to base your area there or base your trade on a buy zone. And by that I mean, look at where VWAP is, which is at 8 or 9s, and then obviously the psychological support is at 4. So I'd be looking for a buy zone on double SP if we don't hold up at this level right now. So let's keep an eye out on that. Let's see if it wants to rocket back up or what its situation is. But there is not a whole lot moving in small cap gapper world, at least not to the high side anyway right now. So you're gonna have to be super selective in what you're getting in. I'm also keeping an eye on DVLT. And the reason I say that is because, well, we saw what it did at VWAP last time. Even Joseph pointed this out to me. He's like, look, man, this one's getting a lot of talk. Absolutely is. So the issue with DVLT has got lower highs all the way through. Ever since that 219 high a day that we printed at 1040, it's been a symphony of lower highs. But we do have that higher low also to contend with. 194 area low, we're showing 202 or thereabouts right now. So let's see exactly what DVLT wants to do, whether it wants to start trending to the high side or what its situation is. Keeping an eye here on double SP. Okay.
You tapped in there?
Oh no, I'm sorry, SSC, no brother, I didn't plug back in. That's a strike for me there, eh?
There's no strike, buddy. We'll give you a ball. We'll give you a ball on that one there. So you fit that play. All right, guys. For too long trading meant risking your own money or never having enough to start. The fear of losing, that's what kept so many traders on the sidelines, but that's changing. Trade the Pool is transforming on how traders access the markets. With its limited risk trading models, traders use funded capital while Trade the Pool absorbs the downside. This allows traders to focus on what truly matters, discipline, consistency, and growth. When you hit the profit target, you keep 70% of the profits. No fear, no barriers, just real opportunity. This is the revolution of limited risk, trading powered by Trade the Pool. Visit tradethepool.com or scan the QR code now to get 10% off your first evaluation. No Bev, I'm not too sure what that means. Do you have anything else you want to touch on there, Sharif?
No, you're good to go.
All right, let's rock and roll, guys. I think it's just time to go with the flow on this one. So yeah, we'll see what we get as we're heading towards the low of the day. We start relatively small on this to see if we can just let it grind lower, and I think that's going to be the case. Oops, let's get involved in this here. Thing.
So there it is, not too bad. We 53.10s, a little bit lower than that, 53.04. I'll post up at 53.10s for a small ad to see if we can get that test of the 52.70 level. I think that's going to be in works for the session. So we may as well take that stab. AMD starting to bounce off of the lows, are some of these consolidative lows as well too. So take that into consideration as that base is being formed. This is what we marked out earlier in the day. And if that cracks, there can definitely be some more momentum to the downside, my friend.
All right, ENVS lost VWAP, guys, so I got stopped out again of this one. It's a no-go now. It's losing trend, and it's got like this consolidative look that looks like it wants to lose at 3.25. 3.25 is a price action support, but I will not be taking it long there, as that by definition will be below the volume weighted average price. So we're gonna have to stay clear until this one can get and stay above 350. ENVS giving it all back. All right. Keeping an eye here on double SP. There we go. We got 8s on. I do have an order here to defend 4, but it pops back up off that volume weighted average price pop when we get the fill there at 12s. Let's see if this one's got the juice to kind of let the longs loose to the high side over here. We're going to keep tabs on that one. Let's also load up DVLT. I'm going to take off IVVD. DVLT could be an interesting dip trade off VWAP. We are there right now, though, okay? I don't know, man. We defended it on a 2-bar hold last time. I'm talking about 11.05 and 11.10. Here we are again. What's the area low? The area low there is 194. We're at 197. Let's get long here. We'll give it a little bit of room into that prior area low. So let's see if we can get filled. So we're going to go just like that and see if we can catch a winning trade here in the later time of, well, it's not even really that late, man. It's just 12:30. Usually they run a little bit longer. So we'll throw in that stop there on DVLT. Let's see if it holds. And then we'll have to obviously put some scalps for a move back above 2. So that's kind of what I'm doing there. Let's layer these orders and see if we can get something up and maybe into 210s. Showing me 95s or 98s, excuse me, for the moment. TMQ, okay, so this one is a little bit of a slower mover, but I want to mention it because it's got a nice uptrend, and that's more than we can say for a lot of these names. Okay, it's not up big, it's up 14%. It held great at 395, but it also looked like it was going to be a flat top break through 4, right? We were accumulating into 4 with higher lows. We get that 4 break, and then we drop. So that's kind of how you can tell the small caps ain't biting in today, because typically these type of patterns, when you get these ascending wedge patterns into highs, give you more than 6 pennies through a flat top break. You get the flat top break, but it's insanely anemic and it quickly loses trend. So, you know, be alive to the, you know, the characteristics of the small caps on any one day. If they're biting, go aggressive with size. If they're not, like what we're seeing today, be careful. So TMQ could be an interesting one here, especially if it can take out the high day of 406. Most notably, though, it's back above 4, which it had a lot of trouble clearing first and foremost. So that would be something I'm looking out for. TMQ is interesting. But I'll just keep my eye on DVLT and double SP because those are the ones that I've got on at the moment. But DVLT, what do we got here? Show me 2. Okay, so no prints yet above that $2 area. There we go. Now we get a quick print into 201. So for the moment, DVLT finding support at VWAP. Can it get back, though, above 205 and start trending above the 10 EMA? Because right now it's below it. Let's load up TMQ on a trading screen so we can get an idea of what the time and sales looks like. TMQ on the NY? No, it's on the MX. Okay. So TMQ is on the MX. It's done 5.13 million shares on the day at trading at $4. Area low I would submit to you guys is 394. You had a bunch of bottoming tail candles into 394, so if it doesn't hold up there, I wouldn't be looking to DCA into an oblivion on TMQ, Joey. So those are the ones I'm looking at: DVLT, double SP, and TMQ.
Beautiful stuff. All right, guys, so there we go. We pieced a little bit out there, 33% on IBIT as it's heading towards the downside, moving lower and lower. So we'll piece some more out. We'll post up at 52.90s to see if we can catch a fill there. We'll take another 33% off remaining, or I guess 50% of the remaining position that we currently have on, and then that will leave us 33% of the total remaining. So we'll post up to see if that can get a fill. I should probably front run it a bit, go to 92s or something like that, but
who cares? YOLO it and see what's going on. And so someone in the chat, I know we've been talking a lot about Bitcoin and what's going on. Shane W asked, so when does Saylor start dumping BTC? I don't think he ever will. I'm pretty sure this guy's in it for the long run. I think he said if Bitcoin goes to zero, he still won't get liquidated or something along those lines. So you think Saylor's loyal to go down with the ship? He has to be, man. At this point, you got to go down with the ship.
He doesn't have a choice, Joey.
Yeah, he doesn't have a choice, man.
If he doesn't go down with the ship, the investors are gonna come after him, bro.
You think it's gonna be a bad day, eh?
I don't know, bro.
What would you see? Like in the headlines, Michael Saylor sells 33% of his stake in Bitcoin or something.
Michael Saylor goes missing.
That's
the headline I see.
What was that one CEO in China who they just didn't know where he went?
Jack Ma. That's what happens when you piss off President Xi.
He just didn't know where he went.
Can't be messing with President Xi.
That's going to be the case for Michael Saylor. Just no idea where this guy went. He's just gone MIA, which is like comical. But there it is, guys. We caught a nice fill on IBIT. Tesla was most definitely the better trade of the session. As you can see, we played that consolidated flag break, and then you do take that leg higher, which was nice. But we're happy we take it some off 66% at the high of this consolidation, and then piece some more out right there. So not too bad. 52.90 is our next primary target. We have the same pattern being formed on Netflix in which we did on AMD, and that failed. But I like our chances here on NFLX, considering we are still down currently. I believe it was around 12.5 or 18% from that high. A lot of these names are starting to come in at what we haven't looked at today, for me personally, is NVDA. I have not looked at it today, Sharif. So down 12%. That could be a solid discount there. And then I seen Katina Man. I remember Katina Man said, you know what? We might see a one handle on this thing here, and that might be the case, Sharif, down 23%. If we go down to $100, that's going to give us the 35% drawdown roughly. So, hey, it is what it is. We sold at 122. More than happy to buy some more. So anything south of that.
Great trade, Joey. Great trade, brother. All right, I'm going to try my hand here at TMQ, looking to go long. We got 2s. I'm setting up for some profits at 4s, 6s. TMQ's got a good chart pattern. It's above $4 and has been above 4 multiple times now. It's above the 10 EMA. It's putting in higher highs and higher lows. Let's see if it's able to get above that 406. 406 has been quite an aggressive line in the sand for TMQ. By the way, guys, this trades on the MX exchange, okay? So I'm not saying it's gonna halt because it's really moving slowly at the moment. So for the moment, it's not a halt candidate. But if it does halt, we won't be able to see the tap. That is the case as well for New York stocks. The only one we'll be able to see the tap for the theoretical auction price and kind of gauge buy-sell momentum during the halt is the Nasdaq names, of course, okay? Just wanted to mention that before anybody weasels on into it. Let's take a look at what DVLT's doing, still holding at 2, not rocketing up. How's the double SP? What are we long here? 8s. We're showing 7, so nothing really doing there. Looking for a hold, though, above 4. It's going to have to hold 4, otherwise it ends the trade for me. So that's my look there. You guys have been mentioning some small cap gappers that are trading below $1. APLT is the one that I think keeps getting mentioned. So because it keeps getting mentioned a lot, I'm gonna talk about it, but I don't want to trade it myself. Let's go to the 5-minute over here on APLT. It's got a look. It's above the pre-market high, but barely. Like, look at that level at 605. The high there is 33.86. The official high is 34. So barely above the pre-market high, but above it nonetheless. Trend is decent. Like, it's the fact that it's holding up at the 10 EMA is also good. Look at that hold there. Generally, the entire way up, the 10 EMA was support, and you can get a bit of an aggressive red candle there, trading around 31.5 EMA. 10 EMA, that is, just around 31 and change. So that could be an interesting entry. We'll pack our patience there. Alfonso with the $5 super chat. Thank you very much for that. Is there a hidden seller on BCAB at the dollar? Well, one key way to tell if there's a hidden seller is to watch the price action manifest and then look to see if any size is coming off the gateway, despite the fact that there's a lot of chop and churn, a lot of orders coming in, for example, on the bid. So what you typically see on my screen, so on the left, where the time and sales, you see a lot of green, a lot of orange, but you wouldn't see any movement from the level 2 from above $1. That typically means there's a hidden seller there. That's your telltale sign, okay? When there's a lot of chop and churn, a lot of volume taking place at that specific level, yet no size is coming off that level. That's how you know there's a hidden seller there. So many different ways, obviously, of spotting that. But thank you for a great question by Alfonso. $5 super chat. We do appreciate that. We're going to the big desk.
Be aware here, guys. Pretty significant move lower here in Expedia. EXPE. Looks like this is actually a travel sector-wide move. BKNG and ABNB also moving lower. I'm going to keep looking for news on this. I don't have anything as of right now. But again, travel sector weakness. I am looking for the news on this. Back to you.
So, there we go, guys. Take additional fill there on IBIT, the one we posted up at 52.90s. Now our next target is going to be 52.70, right at the low of the day. So we'll post up there to see if we're going to continue to bleed our blood here in some Bitcoin. So 52.70 is what we're going to be aiming for on the day. There it is. All right, post it up now. Just wait, be patient, wait for that fill. What's going on, Mike P? So as the market is starting to come back in a little bit, this is what I was talking about earlier. As you break through some key support levels, you're continuing that downward trajectory. So keep that in mind. This is going to be the move. It's a face slapper. Katina, man, nice work there as that's starting to come in off that failed high. We'll pull up the TQs here. What's your re-entry? There you go. 105.70 Katina man is in. There we go. I don't know what I was trying to say there, but 105.70 continuing to bleed a little bit lower. Support level, once that breaks, watch out. You might get some tests of the low of the day there, Sharif.
All right, Joe, I still don't have anything, guys. It's the same trades. There's nothing moving right now in small cap gapper world, so we're going to just stay clear for the moment. So if you want me to look at any names for you, tag myself or Joseph in the chat. We'd be more than happy to look. But I'm not seeing anything at the moment, sadly, moving in the world of small cap gappers. I do see that APLT, but I won't be trading that as it is trading below $1. We're going to put it on the side chart there just to talk about it for you guys. APLT up about 52%, having done a good amount of volume, about 127 million, but we know it's a bit of a thicker trade south of that dollar, so I'll leave that for you guys. And if you have any killer trades on it, let me know. We'll shout you out, we'll call it out, but for me, it's a no-go at the moment. All right, people talking about GNS. Let's see what Farm Trader is talking about there with respect to GNS. All right, I don't know what Farm Trader is looking at there, but I think he likes to take these small cap gappers short because this is not a buy signal for me anyway. We have a great afternoon on Friday for whatever reason. This starts moving at 6 o'clock, and when all was said and done, we're up about 53%. This morning as well, right at 4 a.m., we pop all the way up to $1.56, but since that time, yeah, we've lost about 40% of that move, trading now below the dollar at 95. So thank you, Farm Trader, for putting that there. John Trainum. Do you know Tranium by Amazon is saying ELF a good buy, long at 73 ELF. Let's have a look at Elf Beauty. I'm assuming you're talking about the daily, or are you talking about an intraday trade? It's right at Friday's closing print, 73.50. That's where it closed out on Friday, and as we know, and as we always say, you know, these closing prints are awfully important because it's the committed money that you need to know about, and that committed money stays there after the close. So the closing print there, 74.50, but as you see, it is really losing the bid quite aggressively down into 73.21. So it looks like it might be a flat top break there, or flat bottom break, I should say, on Elf Beauty. Day Trader LA, I went long at the wrong time on Google. I'm down 33K. What would you do? Well, I would just tell you that personally, I think that I would probably have stopped out before I was down 33K on Google. You know, what could you stomach on a daily basis in terms of max loss? You gotta, you know, get used to taking the outs when you don't necessarily want to take them. So right now I see weakness on Google, quite frankly. It's an area high from 950. That takes us all the way up into 293. almost 294. Then if you're looking at a next area high, that's 291, which we couldn't clear. And we were unable to clear essentially from 1025 until we started losing VWAP at around 1055. Then take a look at what it did again. Once it was below VWAP, it got back into VWAP, rejected it at 289.50, and now is putting in yet another lower high. What I would be looking for, though, is a break of that lower low. Look, I like Google. I think Google might have a great tailwind. It's about to take out Microsoft in terms of market cap. It's about 200 million away. So if you were looking to swing trade something, Google could be a fantastic name, up 4%. But, you know, it's probably a bad idea to switch a day trade into a swing trade. So I don't really want to recommend that. But Google, for me, look, man, you're just going to have to make sure that you're playing with, or you're trading, I should say, with an understanding of what your max loss is going to be on the day. And if that stop triggers, you've got to get out. Don't find yourself in this situation where you're down 33K. Even if it's worked it for you in the past, you know, you dollar cost average into an oblivion. Some people can do that. They have a big account. Some people can't, and it doesn't work for them. So I hope you end up coming out of that. Google's a good name without saying, though. We got to go to the big desk.
This move here on EXPE, ABNB, and BKNG, these travel names. There's one headline that I'm seeing that could potentially be related, but let me get into it. So Financial Times reporting that the UK is going to be banning resale of tickets above face value. Now, that doesn't immediately seem travel related, though it did come out right when we got this drop. However, Live Nation is actually also moving down on this. So again, this could just be the market trying to figure out how to react to this story. Again, I haven't seen much more beyond the headline. If I get more details on the story, of course, I'll keep you all apprised, and I am still actively looking into it. But long story short, you have travel names and LYV moving here after Financial Times report that the UK is going to be banning the resale of tickets above face value. Let me see if StubHub is moving on this. StubHub's also dropping. So ticketers and also these travel names moving lower here, guys. Back to you.
There it goes, guys. Bang. There we go. We catch the fill on IBIT to the short side. 53.10s, and then now we're trading at 52.70s. So we got that low of the day as it's continuing to bleed significantly. Look at the momentum pick up on the tape here, Sharif. This is crazy.
Oh, no.
Oh, look at that. It is going. Yeah, absolutely. Katina, man, I got something to tell you. I'll tell you, everybody, the whole team after, Sharif, once we're done here.
Sir.
So there it goes. Bitcoin drastically selling, taking that momentum move to the downside, and that's exactly what we did. I'm going to send a little, actually, I'll do it after. It's not that important. We're going to get into the news, though, momentarily, Sharif, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
lots of good stuff. I like the headlines that you got, that you have going today.
Sure.
Earnings relatively light as we are in the tail end of things. Of course, we have Pan W on Wednesday and NVDA as well, too. Before we send it over, let's go take a look at some of these names and what we got going on. We can take a look at the expected moves just so we can gauge what we specifically have going on. So, to start it off this morning, bang, let's go with calendar and see what we got. So TCOM, we don't really trade that. So we had XPEP, we're going to be going over that momentarily. No other bigger names really aside from that. We have TCOM. So come Tuesday morning, Home Depot, this is going to be a massive sentiment gauge right here, in my opinion, is Home Depot, Baidu, Futu. Those are some three solid ones right there. Now, as for after the bell, nothing crazy. KULR Technologies may be something to keep an eye out on. Aside from that, we don't like Tuesday. But come into Wednesday morning when the party is really going to get started, guys. We have TGT, Target, as Obi would like to say it, Wix, and then TJX companies. But NVDA and Pan W are going to be some big-time moves in the market tomorrow. Now, let's take a look at some of the expected moves. Let's pull this up. Sorry for the radio silence. We just want to pull this up correctly. NVDA. There it is. So our expected move here is going to be approximately a 7.2% implied move with a high of around $200 and a low of around 173. I'll take the 173 all day. Why? Because we can buy it. I would love to buy NVDA at 173. I think that's going to be a solid buy. Let's take a look at the options chain to see if we have any specific call or put walls that we need to keep an eye out on, because we know that is extremely, extremely important when it comes to writing options, or sorry, just options in general and expected moves. So 200,
Bang, look at that. Highly correlated to what our expected move is right there. That's probably going to be a potential ceiling. Expect that level to grow throughout the week. 128,000 open contracts. Last time we seen that on Nvidia's earnings report, it moved south. So that's something that we're going to keep an eye on. We're going to document this. 128,000 at 200, 61,000 contracts traded on the day. Now that is going to be expiring this week. Is it anywhere larger as we go further in expiration? No, it's actually smaller. But now as for a put wall, Sharif, 180, 78,000. I think that's going to be our highest level of open interest on the put side.
Good, Joey. Sounds good. All right, let's get, actually I want to keep an eye here on PAC A. It's starting to move, or PACS, excuse me, starting to move up. We had an ill-fated trade on this one as well, as this one didn't hold VWAP, but it's since broken trend. What I'd like for this one to do is get above that 16 and a fifth. If it gets above 16 and a fifth, 16 and a quarter, that creates a new area high, and a clean hold of VWAP could be a 17 reacher as it got up into 1682 on the day. I can put a breakout trade for that above 16 and a quarter, and then it could give you a nice move up into that 1682, 17 area. We can keep an eye out on that one, certainly. So that one I can set up an automatic breakout trade on, but let's take out some more profits here on double SP, as this one is really slowing down in how it's trading today. Let's get right down to business, though, Joey. Let's bring in the news, and let's get down to business. So let's talk about the main headline that everybody's talking about. Berkshire adding Google, Alphabet, of course, to its holdings, sending the shares markedly higher. We're up about 3.4%. We're off the highs, mind you, on Google. All right, so let's talk about this. So yes, Berkshire Hathaway disclosed a fresh stake in the tech giant. They bought 17,085 shares valued at a little bit less than $5 billion, $4.93 billion, and the acquisition was made as of September 30th. It's a rare tech purchase from Buffett, which is seen as an endorsement, of course, of the long-term AI and cloud CapEx cycle, despite recent volatility in the space. Why this matters, though, because past comments from Buffett and rest in peace Charlie Munger pointed to their regret for not having invested in Google earlier. You know, analysts saying maybe this purchase appears to correct that miss, and their holdings remain heavily concentrated in financials. So this marks a meaningful shift for Berkshire towards tech, albeit a much smaller position than the one they still have in Apple. Although Berkshire cut its position in Apple, it does remain its top tech bet. And Alphabet, Joey, has outperformed markedly this year. And the stock is up, at least at the time of writing of this article, 46.5%, but I'm seeing it on my side chart here. YTD year to date, we're up 51.57. So a little dated is this article. Great move for Google.
Yeah, it's a really great move, and it's crazy to think that Warren and Company sold how many millions of Apple shares, and it's still substantially their largest tech holding, which is crazy just to think about the sheer size. But as for Google, man, as soon as the judge ruled in their favor, they had a weight on their shoulders, and it was just lifted off, and sure enough, boom, off to the races. You go from these April lows to where we're currently trading at 106% in this tech giant is an absolute phenomenal move, and I think it's going to continue to climb higher and higher. There's a lot in the pipeline for Google. It's one of my favorite stocks that I owned at a significant price, and I sold at a horrible, horrific price. It's almost nightmare-esque, but no matter what. And it's funny to think that Warren and Company are getting involved with Google this late, but that just says, hey, what is the potential outlooks for this specific name? I think there's a lot of positives behind Google.
Well said, man. Let's go on to the next story. Let's see what we got here. Nvidia. So $500 billion backlog could signal a 2026 super cycle potential. Let's talk about what we mean by that. So Jensen Huang disclosed $500 billion in combined 2025 and 2026 orders. It covers multiple products that they have. We're talking about the Blackwell GPUs. We're talking about the next-gen Rubin GPUs, as well as their networking components. And it's implying, if you believe that $500 billion number, it implies another year of explosive growth, though at a slower pace, of course, than the 600% revenue surge we've seen over the last 4 years. Wolf Research also chiming in today. They say they're estimating actually that data center sales could exceed prior 2026 forecast by $60 billion. We're talking about full year 2026, of course. So what are analysts expecting?
Whoa, repeat that one more time. I got to hear it. It just sounded really good. Exceed by
Wolf Research estimates data center sales could exceed prior 2026 forecast by $60 billion.
That's crazy,
Joey.
brother.
It's big. It's bigly, as someone would say. Let's talk about what the street's expecting from NVIDIA this earnings report. They're talking about their Q3 revenue to come in a little shy of $55 billion. We're talking 54.83 with EPS, that bottom line, at $1.25. We'll see what they get. Now, with respect to guidance, what's the street expecting with their guide? They're looking for Q4 January guide to be in the region of $61.88 billion, markedly higher than that 54.83, which is implying here a re-acceleration into the year end. NVIDIA, though, for their part, they're not going to guide past one quarter. So the only guidance we're going to get is Q4. We're not going to get full year 2026 guide. Maybe the analysts give us what they're thinking, but we're not going to get it from NVIDIA, okay? Now, we know that they've been announcing aggressive deal cycles, whether it's the OpenAI deal, valued at over $10 billion in exchange, of course, for OpenAI buying 4 to 5 million GPUs. There's also the Intel deal, where they're investing $5 billion to ensure Intel CPUs pair better with NVIDIA's GPUs, which is critical, of course, for their AI servers. Or there's many other partnerships as well, but Nokia, $1 billion to integrate GPUs into future telecom gear. But the wild card and the declining sector, the declining segment for them has been China, and that has been a persistent problem for NVIDIA for the last little while. Their China-targeted H20 was effectively blocked earlier this year by the Chinese regulator, despite getting clearance by the American regulator to sell it there. Since then, China's expressed pessimism about China demand, and no H20 successor has been announced. We did hear briefly about a B30A, China-specific variant based on Blackwell architecture, but we've heard very little about that since. I'm assuming because, of course, the Chinese regulator has made it very clear that they don't want their tech companies buying NVIDIA chips. And analysts, listen to this, Joey. Analysts are estimating that if China becomes open again for NVIDIA, they're talking about a $50 billion annual revenue increase just on that Chinese market, so to speak.
Yeah.
What's your take on this?
You know what, Sharif? It's funny because a lot of the companies got their license to, the institutions got their license to receive the H20, but that's obviously a regulator's choice now.
Yep.
So not to say that there wasn't any demand, it's just the government saying, no, you're not getting these whatsoever.
Exactly.
But as for the earnings report and upcoming from guidance, it's going to be really important. The street is always looking for a surprise, and if you come in at a beat, this name can go absolutely insane. We know the growth cycle that it went through a couple of years ago. Can it go through that once again? And by these numbers and what you're talking about, it sounds like they can, 110%. So the NVDA is going to be a monster, continue to be a monster. As long as that CapEx is going to continue to increase through some of these hyperscalers, I like NVDA a whole bunch. We're going off to Adara.
Yeah, we have to talk here about these travel names once again. So interestingly enough, I did mention a story here with regards to ticket prices coming from Financial Times. It looks like that's what caused the drop in LYV and STUB, but there's a different story here for EXPE, BKNG, and ABNB. So the reason the travel stocks are dropping is apparently because Google announced the expansion of its Google Flights to include an AI trip planner, which covers hotels and itineraries. So any of these hotel and itinerary related companies, including EXPE, BKNG, and ABNB, are going to be hit hard here. So long story short, I sort of provide an update on that. These stocks appear to be dropping after Google Flights has apparently expanded their offerings to include the AI trip planner, which does cover itineraries. Back to you.
Right, let's go on to the next story here. Oh no, Bitcoin has dropped 25% from the October all-time high price of 126,000. Where is it at right now? I gotta tell you, Joey, I'm just worried about the people who bought at the top. Okay, 92,640. The blood is in the street. Let's see if we get 80. This marks one of the biggest unwindings in a momentum-driven market this year. Experts cite a two-stage sell-off. They're saying first, It was macro driven. We'll get to that one in a sec. Then it was the forced liquidation cascade, flushing billions of leverage positions all at one time. Let's talk about that sentiment shift, the macro-driven sentiment shift. The turning point came October 10th when the U.S. renewed their China-related trade tensions and triggered an immediate sell-off and a global de-risking event. In the days that followed, the liquidity for Bitcoin evaporated essentially, and forced liquidations accelerated the drop. We'll talk about that one in a second. ETH also not spared, down 35% from its August highs, and the liquidity is thin here across crypto. Post-crash liquidity remains extremely shallow. Even a small routine trade can cause price swings, says Presto Research. But the BT ETFs, which saw over $100 billion in inflows since their approval, now they've slowed dramatically, especially institutional money, and now we're starting to see a trend emerge of outflows as opposed to net inflows. That is something to note there. But this isn't all doom and gloom. So let's compare it to 2022 when we dropped all the way down to 20 or whatever we were at there. So unlike in 2022, today's reset shows no credit contagion. There's no insolvencies happening, especially, with these miners, which we saw consistently in 2022, and no systemic failures to speak of. Analysts emphasize this is a liquidity reset, Joseph, not a structural confidence collapse. The long-term fundamentals, according to analysts, remain good. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's tough, right? Like if you're overexposed to a specific thing, kind of like how I was, you feel the brunt of the force. It's never good, and I mean, I'm not 100% all in like Mr. Saylor, but nor do I have any form of, or anywhere close to the size. I'm a needle in a haystack compared to what the amount of capital Michael Saylor has spent on this at the end of the day. Is there something to worry about? I think there might be a little bit in the long term, right? Just because we're just so focused on everything in the near term, I do believe that there's going to be a better price to get involved with. With that being said, Bitcoin continuously bleeding. You can see that we're almost down 2% on the day. You just have to wait for that bottom. It'll display itself. You'll see consolidation, and then you'll start seeing some more aggressive updates back to when it was putting up those 5%, 10% even sessions. Right now, we're just not seeing that. We're officially in a bear market in Bitcoin and a lot of the other crypto names, so I think that's something that we need to most definitely take into consideration. 92,000 and change. Are we going to breach 90,000? I think so at this point, just due to the momentum. So you can see the breadth within this underlying here is that every time the volume is just dropping off a cliff. And then when we're starting to move to the downside, the volume profile definitely starts to accelerate. So I think that's something that we need to be cautious about. I know we have this trend line right here, but if that breaks, I think that you're going to head in towards that 74 level. And if that's going to be the case, then I think that's going to be a good buying opportunity. 80s, you start grabbing some. But right now, it just looks like this is a falling knife, Sharif, that I don't want to try and catch right now.
Well said, Joey. Let's go on to the next story. XPeng beating Q3 revenue, but the outlook and the sentiment is a drag on shares, says this article. So what did XPEV do? XPEV's been rocketing up lately. Q3 EPS of $0.01. That beat expectations of a 5-penny loss, so good bottom line check there. How about the revenue? $2.9 billion, and that's well above the consensus estimate, but bulls wanted a lot more on forward guidance and deliveries. They jumped 102% year over year, now a little bit less than 50,000 units, delivered 46,533 units, while Q4 deliveries, their guide, expected to what the hell? That can't be right. Nah, that's going to be full year. I got to double check that. I think that hallucinated. 125 to 130,000 units. That's incorrect. I'll have to double check that.
I have the same thing. I don't know what you.
Yeah, I don't know, brother. You can't be jumping from 46,533 to 125 to 130
three times
in one quarter. That ain't going to work, right?
Times,
management called the quarter another strong set of results, citing record gross margins as well as rising production and improved cash levels. We'll get to those cash levels. Very important, of course, for an EV company. How about their forward guidance? Q4 revenue guidance is what disappointed investors, which overshadowed that top line beat. Investors expected a Q4 surge to be driven by new models, waiting for that Q4 tone to hit near-term enthusiasm, which didn't happen. The stock's already up or was at the time of the writing of this article, 112% year to date into earnings, setting up, a too high of a bar scenario. And let's talk about their growth momentum and their cash position. We always look at Rivian's cash position, Polestar's, other EV companies, how much cash they have on hand because they burn through so much of it. They ended the quarter with $6.8 billion, not UN, in cash, giving it one of the stronger liquidity positions in the nascent EV market. Gross margins improved from 15.3% to 17.3. How the hell did that even happen when we've been hearing about the race to the bottom with these Chinese electric vehicles and raising the ire, of course, of the Chinese regulator? The company continues, though, to fund its robo-taxi, autonomous driving, and robotics R&D, leaning heavily into long-term AI competitiveness. I feel like this is just like the Xiaomi and Apple are the pairs. Xiaomi copies Apple, and XPeng just copies Tesla. You're telling me all the EVs, the robo-taxi, autonomous driving, robotics, just telling me you want to be Elon Musk.
Hey, man, it works. Like the Xiaomi phone,
man.
The Xiaomi phone is insane.
It's a good phone.
It literally
nothing
looks
bad to say about
exactly like it, for sure.
Can I say something to you?
Yeah.
The Xiaomi 17 Pro Max fits into the case of the Apple 17 Pro Max. It's a direct fit.
You see Marquez?
No, I didn't see that one. It was somebody else that actually took the case out, so literally would fit into this joke.
It's crazy. All right, guys. At the intersection of science and crypto innovation, Silo Pharma, Nasdaq Silo, SILO, is rewriting the playbook. Their lead drug, SPC-15, is advancing towards FDA submission, a potential first-in-class intranasal treatment for PTSD and anxiety, with data already showing strong safety results. At the same time, Silo is expanding its digital asset model, investing in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, while securing cutting-edge technology designed to strengthen the future-proof. Its crypto strategy, from lab to ledger, Silo Pharma is where breakthrough science meets blockchain innovation. Learn more at silopharma.com. But no, as for XPeng, it's honestly not horrible, right? Like you have the I don't know if this is the IPO here. So yeah, essentially, so since inception, you're relatively flat, Sharif. I mean, up 2.4%, which isn't horrible. But we've seen some of these other names like Webull just get absolutely destroyed. We're kind of comparing apples to oranges at this point, but that's not horrible compared to some of these other names. But as for growth drivers and business highlights, expanding retail charging networks with 690 stores, 2,600 self-operated charging stations, enhancing customer reach, overseas expansion accelerated, increasing revenue from AI tech-driven services. So tell me your Tesla, as Sharif would like to say without necessarily doing that, and the Xiaomi, but not too bad of a look here. We want to go to these April lows. We'll go August of 24. You're up 254%, but you're relatively flat since this IPO.
The only thing I can think of that they do that Tesla doesn't do is EVTOLs. And Tesla's not throwing their hat into that ring at all, and I don't know if they're ready to.
Oh yeah, remember? I know Elon says he would never do one, but do you think?
Did he say that?
No. This is what I was getting at. No. Do you think that a crotch rocket, a street bike, Tesla? But he said he would never get involved with those.
He said motorcycles.
Do you think that would be a needle mover for Tesla?
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's actually interesting. Yeah, if they get into it, that's going to disrupt Archer, Joby, all those ones are going to go. They're going to
from the eVTOL standpoint.
Smack. Because once Tesla throws their hat into the ring, right?
Because they have more cash. It's the cash, right?
And they have the production capacity and the know-how how to scale things, whereas Joby is still a science experiment. Albeit, look, you're getting good deals with Dubai, this, that, fantastic. You're doing the right thing. But when you're actually switching from a science experiment into a real-world product, who's got better knowledge than Tesla when it comes to that kind of stuff, right?
We talk about it in the likes of Waymo as well, too. Yes, we know that the regulators may be favoring the LiDAR, but it's the production capacity that is going to give Tesla that potential edge when it comes to just the full autonomy and the robo-taxis.
All right, let's get into Apple. Possible succession plans underway and a new watch import probe. Let's talk about both headlines. So Apple has apparently, if you believe the reports, intensified their internal, underline that, not external, internal succession planning, preparing for Tim Cook to potentially step down as the CEO next year. This is being reported by the Financial Times, so I haven't seen it with any other news outlet except FT. John Ternus, Ternas, who's the Senior Vice President of Hardware and Engineering, is viewed as a leading candidate to take over from Tim Cook. Apparently, according to reports, he is Tim Cook's most trusted and operationally aligned lieutenant. The company's unlikely to name a successor before the January earnings, according to the article. And if you don't know, Tim Cook's been at the helm since 2011, since taking over, of course, from Steve Jobs, who resigned to deal with his health. Let's talk about the International Trade Commission reopening, or launching, I should say, a new proceeding against Apple. This time, they're trying to decide whether Apple's updated watch models should be banned again over alleged Massimo patent infringement. The investigation is set to conclude within 6 months. The question here being inquired by, or the ITC that's inquiring, did Apple's redesigned watches, which is meant to circumvent a prior ban, still violate Massimo's blood oxygen patents? That's what they'll be investigating. We expect that within 6 months, so we'll have to see how that all works out. But this is on again, and on again between Massimo and Apple. Apple and the Massimo company have been fighting across multiple courtrooms and agencies with disputes covering patents, trade secrets, hiring practice, product redesigns. They've been arguing about everything. And a federal jury in Santa Ana ruled that Apple owes $634 million to Massimo for infringing the pulse oximetry patent. So we'll have to see how that all works out. Yet another issue here for them to sell their Apple Watch domestically in the United States.
Yeah, that's a great. So I wanted to ask you this. So we know when it comes to drugs, you have the patent for, what is it, about 6 years or something, and then other manufacturers have the ability to make the same thing just under the same name. Is that would that be anywhere around the same with this stuff here?
No, there's some stuff that the patent never lapsed. The reason they did it for drugs is because it's like a health thing.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Okay, yeah, makes more sense. But yeah, I mean, as for Apple, I think that's just, again, that's chump change for them at the end of the day if they own $634 million.
Yeah, it's not the money that they owe, Joey. It's the not being able to sell it that's the concern, right?
So yeah, you'd have to come up with something else and get around that bush for sure. But Apple has been fantastic, guys, up 50% off of those April lows.
All right, Adara, give us your take on Apple.
I'm going to be focusing on the CEO side of things because you guys know me. I love looking into employees and executives at companies. It's kind of what I do. So I want to talk here about John Ternus. He is, again, as mentioned there by Sharif and Joe, he is widely reported as the candidate to take over for Tim Cook, current CEO, when he steps down. Now, I did look a little bit into John Ternus, and his pedigree with regards to his tenure at Apple is kind of similar to what we had with Tim Cook when he took over for Steve Jobs, and it's a long tenure at the company. Apparently, John Ternus has been with Apple since roughly 2001, so he's been well over 20 years, and he's only like 49 to 50. He was born in 1975, so he's relatively young. He actually, as of 2022, according to Bloomberg, was the youngest person in Apple's executive suite. He's been an exec since 2021 at Apple, so again, he's got the Apple experience. He's got the executive experience. He currently reports directly to Tim Cook. He seems like an interesting candidate, and yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit more info on possible new Apple CEO, John Ternus.
Thank you very much for that. Let's go on to the next story. Disney. Finally, them and YouTube, they restore ESPN and ABC after a blackout. So let's talk about this. So Disney and Google's YouTube TV reached an agreement finally to restore all the Disney-owned networks after a fee dispute caused a major blackout since the 30th of October. Channels returning include your ABCs, your ESPNs, FX, National Geographic, and of course, what would it be without the Disney Channel, baby, as well as all ABC news programming. Millions of subscribers regained, I should say, access just after missing key sports and election day coverage. So there was stuff missed there for those who wanted to watch. YouTube confirmed as well that the full ESPN access, including ESPN Unlimited, will become available to their base tier subscribers at no extra fee by the end of next year. That's YouTube TV, including all of ESPN access at no extra charge. So that's part of the deal they struck here with Disney. The terms of the financial agreement were not disclosed by either company, but CNBC had previously reported that Disney was seeking around $10 per ESPN subscription per month. They wanted to take that much from the YouTube tariff. And I think the YouTube tariff's like 80-something bucks. Tag me, guys, in the chat how much you guys are paying south of the border there for that YouTube TV subscription. The impact here on Disney's TV business is worth noting. The dispute raised investors' concerns over their legacy and linear TV decline, and we've been seeing that persistent. The advertising dollars keep leaving linear television. Disney already missed quarterly revenue estimates due to the cable weakness. And so that obviously is going to add a little bit more of a bit of a twist there, Joseph. Disney accused YouTube TV of demanding preferential lower carriage fees compared to Hulu, Live TV, and Fubo. YouTube TV claimed Disney used the threat of a blackout to push through higher prices, and YouTube rejected Disney's attempt to restore ABC for the election day only, saying it would confuse customers. So people who were looking for election day coverage, of course, didn't get to watch that. The blockout also blocked high-profile events like Monday Night Football on November 3rd, but, you know.
Yeah, Dan Gale, that's exactly what I was about to say. I mean, Sharif, it looks like this subscription is around $85 to $86 a month.
Yeah.
I don't know who's paying for that right now, to be honest with you, considering Netflix is a fraction of that, and then there's other ways to beat around it. But as for Disney stock, guys, and for the streaming, like in the streaming wars as well, too, for a while it took them a while to turn a profit, but then now they're slowly starting to gain a little bit more market share. But you're right back at 2015 levels. I mean, if you think some things are disastrous, imagine just holding Disney stock, which I thought would be an absolute cash cow, considering their parks I thought are just so super expensive, but the margins must be absolutely horrible because it doesn't make too sense. But once again, you're April 15th, 2015, I can't believe I'm saying that, $105 on Disney. We're trading right at that specific right now. So talk about a decade of dead money. We say it in Intel quite often, but Disney has definitely been there as well.
Yeah, that's a tough look there for Disney, but not a tough look today for Tesla, which is up 2%, the second best performing Mag 7 name after, of course, Google. And quite frankly, it's just Tesla and Google that are positive on the day. Every other Mag 7 name negative. So Tesla pushing to remove all China-made parts from its U.S. cars. Good move. They actually started on this before President Trump had his, Build in America push, but they've really accelerated since that time. Let's talk all about it. They're formally requiring all their suppliers to eliminate China-made components from vehicles that are manufactured and built in the U.S. The Wall Street Journal is reporting this, okay? Haven't gotten it from anybody else. The company's already swapped out some Chinese parts, and they plan to complete the transition fully within 12 to 24 months. Executives have struggled. The reason for this, of course, is executives have struggled with unpredictable U.S.-China tariffs, a little on again, a little off again, 100% here, 40% there. You guys get it. And Tesla, as I mentioned, began boosting North American sourcing 2 years ago, but the pace has really sharply increased given the geopolitical risk that's emerging and getting a little even tougher. But that hasn't helped their China production, which continues to suffer. It's not just the China market that's suffering, it's what they're producing there as well is also declining. The China Passenger Car Association data shows China-made sales are down 9.9% in October, down to 61,497 units, reversing a small gain in September. But we know why that gain came in September. It was largely due to that new Model YL, the long-range model, which has 3 rows and has longer range, Joey. So we continue to see problems with Tesla in China, whether it's stuff that they're producing there or whether it's stuff that's selling. I don't think we bottomed yet.
Yeah, no, I mean, maybe, who knows? You said there might be something under the hood as well, too, Sharif. But I'm just curious to what that's going to do for margins. Obviously, moving the supply chain, considering you're getting parts from China, where are you going to get them now domestically? Is that going to be an increase? What does that happen to the margins at the end of the day? Compression. Again, with the car business, we all know that it's a tough space to be in, considering we look at all the other legacy names. It's just the pipeline and what you're looking forward here with Tesla, but not too bad. Shifting supply chains from China in order to, I don't know, because it's government regulated at the end of the day. So we'll keep an eye out on Tesla. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a new high
Not immediately, but eventually we will, just due to robotaxi expanding geofence and everything.
Of course, and we have to mention this as well. Elon posting on the weekend. I showed you guys this earlier. If Gates hasn't fully closed out the crazy short position he had against Tesla for approximately 8 years, he had better do so soon. So we don't really know what Elon means, obviously, but one could make the assumption that something is coming in the pipeline that may cause the price of the stock to rocket, and he's just trying to kind of be clever with his wording so he doesn't raise the ire, of course, of the FTC like he did with that funding secured comment back in the day.
What years was it? It was like 22, 23 when he was just on a hiatus on X or on Twitter, just tweeting things all the time, Dogecoin, buy this, all this, and all of that. It's just like, yo, what are you doing, man? You can't manipulate the market like that. And sure enough,
look, if he's going to talk about other companies, have at it, baby.
Fine, but
you can't be talking about your own company, and you know, and that's the thing, right? Let's talk about BABA. A White House memo was released last week. We reported to you in the afternoon on Friday about allegations that BABA was targeting or helping military with targeting against, well, obviously we know who. So the Financial Times, when they reported this, they reported the White House memo accuses Alibaba of providing tech support for Chinese military operations targeting the U.S. We should mention that Alibaba is up on the day, by the way, okay? So this was last week's news. The Financial Times could not independently verify the memo and did not release a full version, leaving major gaps on timing, source, and specifics. That needs to factor in, of course, into the veracity of the report. The White House did not comment. The Financial Times stands by its reporting despite the limited details. So make it out what you will. Alibaba, for their part, they're strongly denying the allegations. They called them completely false and labeled the memo as a malicious PR operation. The company suggested the leak came from rogue political actors trying to undermine Trump's recent trade de-escalation with President Xi Jinping. Alibaba questioned why unverifiable claims were leaked anonymously and surfaced immediately after high-level bilateral progress. Alibaba, you need to understand politics a little bit better there, my boy. The geopolitical context everybody knows about, the United States, China engaged in a trade battle right now. But let's talk about the U.S. restricting China's access to advanced AI chips, which is elevating the sensitivity, of course, around these Chinese tech firms. And Alibaba is one of those companies right now that's really pushing with their LLM, Qwen. We saw all these different additions that they're adding to Qwen last week. They want to kind of bring that to the fore and make it a multimodal LLM like we have over here. They're copying chat a little bit, which is fine because chat clearly works. What do you make of this whole thing, Joey?
I think it's interesting what they got going on. These guys are all about the spend, and we talk about the race, but where's the end of it? We know that BABA is essentially going global expansion as well, too, with data centers in Brazil and other places around the world. But what I take from this, denying the allegations, I'm not surprised about it whatsoever. Take a look at some of the technicals here and see what we got going on with this. We know with these ADRs, guys.
How much? Like 3 and change, right? Three and a third.
Today, right? Today's session, yeah, I mean, it's positive, but starting to come back in a little bit here. Let's get rid of this here. Why? Come on. Boom. And just kind of just phase out a lot of this noise. You're obviously going to have to endure these gap ups and gap downs just due to it. But if you go from these April lows we're currently trading at 62.9%, so not too bad of a look whatsoever on Alibaba Group.
All right, Adara, give us your take on Alibaba and this supposed White House memo.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. So I think this is a story that obviously dropped the stock pretty sharply on Friday. But today, I think, as you guys mentioned there, the Qwen release offset things a lot. We know the market loves any and all releases of Qwen. So I think, you know, Qwen Moon for Alibaba, it certainly was pre-market today. Now, with regards, though, to the memo, I do want to get a bit more into this because I do find it interesting that, as mentioned in Sharif's note, Trump hasn't commented yet, and the White House hasn't either. Alibaba's denied it, and the Financial Times apparently stands by their reporting. Now, I like to always think about the source that we get this info from. So Financial Times is generally, I would say, like, I haven't think off the top of my head, I can't think of any examples where their reporting has been disputed. Bloomberg, I know we've seen some examples where that has been disputed by the companies involved. Reuters, we know Elon Musk and the Reuters is lying, Reuters is dying. Debacles. The point I'm trying to make is, As of right now, I'm kind of tempted to trust this from Financial Times, but obviously without context, a lot of things become kind of questionable. Now, with regards to getting more details in the memo, I wonder what happens if and when a reporter asks Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, about this memo during a White House press conference. And that's not guaranteed to happen, but I think if it does, that's probably the closest we'll get to some actual confirmation or denial from the White House. And in that case, I will be watching Alibaba next time we get a White House press conference. Usually they're once a week, but we don't have them really pre-scheduled ahead of like the day of. So that would kind of be where I'd be looking for more info in this BABA memo. For now, though, the veracity is anybody's guess, I guess.
Thank you very much. Let's go on to the next story. Boeing, massive order by the Emirates. The airline. So they announced a 65 jet order for the 777-9 variant valued at $38 billion. Actual negotiated cost is far lower. That's a ticket price. We don't know what the actual price is. This pushes Emirates' total 777X family commitment to up to 270 aircraft, reinforcing, of course, the airline as the world's dominant wide-body buyer. The order comes despite the 777X program being 7 years delayed, with the first delivery of the 777X now pushed all the way down to 2027. We gave you news on that variant last week as well. The feasibility study for an larger 777-10. So Emirates secured Boeing's agreement to conduct a feasibility study for a stretched 777-10, anticipated to exceed the 400-seat capacity of the 777-9. The airline negotiated conversion flexibility. It can switch to the newly ordered 777-9 into a potential 777-10 if it does actually come to fruition, or even drop it down according to their needs to the 777-8. Good flexibility by the Emirates there. Their leadership has been pushing for longer haul aircraft to maintain that hub and spoke dominance through Dubai that they've been basically doing now for the last decade and a half. The order was announced at the Dubai Air Show, shifting attention, of course, to whether the Emirates will also expand its Airbus A350 backlog next, because they have those under orders as well. The CEO of Emirates emphasized the order's impact on hundreds of thousands of U.S. factory jobs, subtly, of course, reinforcing the geopolitical ties that they have here. Wow. So Boeing's risk profile and delays, continues to be at the fore. They previously booked a $4.9 billion charge on that 777X program, followed by another one-year delay announced last month. And the Emirates President Tim Clark publicly said Boeing and Airbus remain very risk-averse, pushing manufacturers to avoid bold new designs, something obviously that hurts the airlines, as if they don't have new products for their travelers. You can't really charge much. Well, you can't charge higher, but it's harder to justify an increase in the price.
As for these planes within Boeing.
If you got new stuff, you'd be like, oh, we got shiny new
check
plane.
Out this, exactly. Yeah, no, it doesn't. But listen, Sharif, let's not beat around the bush with Boeing. These orders are coming out of the wazoo. China deals, obviously, with this. Now they're also getting an increase in production as well, too, so they can deliver more. They just have to meet these expectations. Boeing has been in a slump with the overall market, but the demand is there for a lot of these new planes. They just have an insane backlog. I shouldn't say only, but it is down 20% off of that previous pivot. So once again, running a monopoly essentially in the commercial airspace, I like Boeing to get their act together and then hopefully start a big-time rally, which I think is warranted for this company.
All right, let's talk about Dell. Let's see where Dell's at, because Morgan Stanley double downgrading Dell today. Where is it at? Oh no, Dell is down 8%. Whew. Morgan Stanley slashed Dell, the underweight from overweight, marking a rare double downgrade driven by what the company, where the analyst is calling a deteriorating margin outlook. Analyst Eric Woodring cut the price target from 144 down to 110, implying an 18% downside from Friday's close. And shares fell immediately to the tune of 6% after the call. Here's what's going on. So Woodring warned that Dell is among the most exposed OEMs to rising DRAM and NAND prices. And as we've seen, Micron has been rocketing up. Today's flat on the day, but we reported to you guys last week that Samsung raised their high bandwidth memory prices up 60%. We saw immediately Micron take off as well. I haven't heard anything in terms of price increases yet from SK Hynix, but those are the big three that you need to keep your eye on for bandwidth, for a high bandwidth memory. RAM, DDR5, or whatever they're using these days, those three. Samsung, SK Hynix, Micron obviously American. So that's what they mean when they're talking about the rising cost of DRAM. Key components that represent about 25 to 70% of the total BOM costs across Dell's core product segments. Rising memory cost pressures are expected to compress gross margins for the next 12 to 18 months, which obviously creates valuation risk. Historical patterns here are also important. They show negative correlation between memory inflation and Dell's ability to maintain margins, which makes sense. As your input prices go up, your margins get compressed. That unless you can increase prices. It's really that simple. So what are the history of these demand cycles for HBM? During the last memory upcycle, which was between 2016 and 2018, Dell's gross margins contracted by 95 to 170 basis points within 9 months of those price increases. So that's what they're expecting this time around. And the analyst at Morgan argues that today's memory pricing cycle is more severe, strengthening the case that margin deterioration will likely repeat, Joey. So this is just another part of the puzzle when we talk about, you know, all the different components that go into making these AI server racks. This is as big of a part as any, Joey.
All the stacks.
On the
and
stack.
All the
Talk about the vertical stack.
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly. So there it goes, guys. As for Dell, I mean, it went on a big-time run, right, off of these April lows. This is what we like to gauge off of. I mean, 150%, but starting to take a hefty haircut over the past month. So when you go on these big runs, guys, you just have to be prepared for what's on the other side of that. And you can see that we're down 27.1% off of those. What is it? I mean, not even that long ago, Sharif. What is it? November? No, that's not correct.
Well, that fly is back, Joey.
Yeah, he's back, man. So anyways, earlier in the month, guys, not too good of a look, just a 30% haircut just like that.
Yes, sir. All right, this is not directly relevant to us, but it does, you know, bring an issue that we've been talking about for a long time. Are Uber drivers self-employed or are they employees? Well, the New Zealand Supreme Court ruled they are employees, which obviously has a big effect for the company there. Could we see it here? We'll have to find out. So New Zealand Supreme Court unanimously upheld a 2022 ruling that said Uber drivers must be treated as employees, not contractors. They're not independent contractors under New Zealand law. Now, the case was brought by 2 labor unions on behalf of the drivers, setting up a powerful precedent for thousands more in New Zealand's gig economy. The ruling aligns New Zealand with countries like the UK, which already recognized enhanced employment rights for rideshare drivers. What are the implications for Uber's business model? Uber argued drivers are independent contractors who use its platform, but the court rejected that position at all levels. The ruling cast significant doubt on the contracting arrangements nationwide, according to Uber's managing director, Emma Foley. While the company says operations will continue normally for now, the long-term risk, of course, centers on higher labor costs, which potential reclassification across all sectors, as well as new compliance burdens. So here's the deal. The workers' first union said the decision paves a way for thousands of members to pursue 1, minimum wage entitlements, increasing costs, rest and meal breaks, increasing costs, holiday and parental leave. You see where I'm going with this? Increasing costs, back pay for historic underpayment. Joey, what's going to happen? Increasing costs.
Oh, man.
So the point is, Joey, I think Uber really can't wait for autonomous to come, because let's just cut the crap. The drivers are their biggest expense.
Hey, of course, yeah. That's how it typically is. But the thing is, though, they own no vehicles essentially. At the end of the day.
That's part of the thing they love, right?
It's just like it's insane at the end of the day. Hey, we've seen what Uber did here in the city when it came to the taxis and everything. They essentially just flushed them out. I don't see very many taxi cabs compared to what we had X amount of years ago. So
no, man, there's way less.
Oh man,
way less.
Yeah. And we have obviously the most viral video probably of all time regarding the Uber guy and the taxi guy.
Remember, oh right? God, yeah.
And that
of
thing,
course, it had to be Toronto.
Had to be right here.
Why was he holding on to the door, bro?
I don't know.
What do you think
man.
was gonna happen?
Yeah,
there?
what were your intentions? Like, if the door did open, what is your next step?
He wants to take him out.
So he's like, oh look, there's one right there. There's one right there. Runs out. No,
we can't show it to you because we'll get dinged.
Yeah,
but you guys can just search Uber driver chases, or say cab driver chases Uber driver Toronto. I'm
downtown
sure it'll come
Toronto.
up. Yeah.
Probably one of the most viral city videos. No, but in all seriousness, to add to Sharif's point, going to be one of their largest expenses. What happens when they can get Tesla to sign on a massive fleet?
Yeah, exactly.
Same with the likes of Waymo. What's that going to do for margins? So it's in Uber's best interest to try to eliminate as many drivers as they possibly can. But is it in the economy's best interest?
Very well said. Very well said.
Probably not.
But let's be honest about it, man. If that's going to be a big thing for Uber, you think they're going to absorb the price, the cost? No, bro. The prices are going to go up.
No,
right? The prices of the rides are going to go up. Uber's not going to take the hit, right?
And the thing is, so do we get to a point where it's like, okay, the cost of Uber going up to where it's almost equal to just taking a cab?
Exactly.
Right?
And some cabs you can order like an Uber now. It's kind of very similar.
Yeah,
they use the same app. All right, let's go to the last story and we'll get to some trades, guys. The Tylenol autism lawsuits are returning to court citing the Trump comments. So let's talk about this for Kenvue. So over 500 dismissed lawsuits against Tylenol maker Kenvue are back in focus as plaintiffs push the U.S. Second Circuit Court of Appeals to revive their cases. Families arguing that a September Trump administration press conference where President Trump and health officials publicly linked Tylenol in pregnancy to autism supports their claims. A lower court threw out the suits back in 2024, ruling that the plaintiffs' expert methodologies were unreliable and failed scientific scrutiny. So what are we talking about here? What's scientific consensus say? Well, researchers, for their part, they maintain that there is no firm evidence linking acetaminophen to autism or ADHD. Kenvue reiterates that exclusive data show the product is safe when used as directed, and plaintiffs insist the original judge misapplied expert standards and failed to evaluate critical interpretation of the data. But here's the deal, Joey. Kimberly-Clark, their $40 billion acquisition of Kenvue is still expected to close next year. Filings state that the autism-related allegations cannot be used to derail the deal. So if you think that this was going to stop the deal, apparently there's a clause in the acquisition contract that says no. Kenvue also faces a Texas Attorney General government lawsuit alleging the company concealed pregnancy-related risks. A Texas judge denied the AG's request to block about $400 million dividend or force changes to Kenvue's marketing. And the plaintiffs appealed in 2024 April 2024 and used President Trump's public remarks to nudge the appeals court, arguing the administration's validation of their concerns. The judge overseeing the consolidated litigation previously ruled the plaintiffs' experts obscured weakness in underlying science. So we'll have to see how this all works out, Joey. How's Kenvue looking?
Oh, damn. Not too good of a look here, Sharif, but I mean, that's just kind of just along the line. You're down 38% right there. We're going to call it 40 flat. There was essentially no rebound off of those April levels, so we're not even going to try to gauge that whatsoever. So Kenvue, most definitely a tough look. But this the IPO world, man. You fade a lot of these. It's not good whatsoever. I personally wouldn't want to hold this name just yet anyways. It's just, there's too much bad news looming around it.
Yeah, let it settle.
Let it settle. Let things cool down a little bit. But yeah, aside from that, guys, the chat is there. Smooth buns, yeah.
Oh, we have to go to Adair?
Oh, we're going to Adair there?
All right, Adair, what is your take on Kenvue?
I am of the opinion that I have a feeling this lawsuit's probably going to get quashed again. Now, why do I think this? Because if you look at it here, and again, shout out here to Sharif's note, the issues here that the judge had in the first time with this was apparently that the plaintiffs' experts were obscuring weakness in the underlying science. So unless the underlying science is markedly changed, it doesn't really seem like there's a reason for this to go through now. Now, obviously, public sentiment could be a big factor here because we know public sentiment towards Tylenol has changed quite a lot after Trump told everybody not to take it and said to tough it out, et cetera, with regards to pregnant women, with regards to those autism risks. So my take on this is I still think if we're going to use science and the strength of said science as the be-all, end-all, regardless of what's been said by the current administration, I have a feeling this lawsuit isn't going to go through. But I do recognize that, you know, public perception is really powerful. The perception here for Kenvue and Tylenol is obviously very negative. We know we've seen some reports they're trying to switch up their executive strategy here. They're also going to be having an acquisition deal here with Kimberly-Clark. So I think anything with regards to sentiment of Kenvue is going to be pretty big, and I think that's maybe the reason to watch this. But that being said, I highly doubt that this lawsuit gets anywhere this time around even.
Thank you very much for that. All right, guys, that concludes the news segment. Thank you guys for hanging out. All right, so still very much focused on this TMQ trade. It's been holding $4. I don't know, man, since how long? Let's just say since 12 o'clock. But I'm trying to look at the trend here, and what I'm seeing on TMQ is nice higher lows. You're not really getting that rocket ship, though, buyer, and you're not seeing that displayed in the volume bars either that have been kind of stagnant, each, you know, representing maybe 80, 100,000 shares per 5-minute candle. But that's also dropping off now at about 50,000 shares. What I'm seeing, though, is higher lows on every successive dip without really having an identifiable area for a flat top break. Doesn't really feel like there's a seller at one specific area here on TMQ. Sometimes you'll pop into 407, sometimes 406s, no specific area. Most notably, though, you are accumulating with higher lows in the 4. So we'll see if TMQ has got the juice to take out some of the shorts there, hanging out in the low 4s. That's 1. 2. PACS. I was involved in this one earlier. This is going to be my biggest loser of the day. No, that's not the biggest loser. That's a different one. CMCT. PACS, decent bounce off the volume weighted average price, but every time you think that this one's making a new area high, like at around 1250 when he got into 16.25, it drops back down. So I'm not really looking for a breakout trade on this. In fact, I'd be looking for a dib trade off VWAP, PACS. Right now, nothing doing there. And last but not least, double SP. I just flattened out this trade for the exact reason that I'm still long TMQ. You're getting lower highs on this one, but you're getting the same flat top or flat bottom area here at $4 as Asino. This one could be a flat bottom break through 4, Joey.
All right, new traders, listen up. First month free. That's right. We're waiving fees. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to elite, analyze, strategize, capitalize. Our platform, it's everything. Infinite data, instant trading, lightning fast market insights, game-changing charts, predict with backtesting, reliable real-time data, global markets at your fingertips, all in one platform. Don't miss out. Execute your best trades now. Ready to elevate your trading? Scan the QR code or check the link in the description.
Okay.
So yeah, you got anything else there you cooking up there, brother? You're cool. You got TMQ.
All you, my boy.
It's all me, baby. Oh yeah, by the way, Leafs have lost 5 straight.
I heard, man.
5 straight.
Hold on, the Raps have won 7 out of 8?
Yeah, they're not looking too bad, man. They're not too bad.
And
Leafs
they murked Indiana at Indiana. They just destroyed them.
But Tyrese Halliburton's out though.
I don't
their
even
best
know
guy.
who
Their
that
best.
is.
Their best guy. Yeah, their best players.
They're not going to
He's out.
be finding.
But yeah, no, the Leafs are an absolute tire fire. It's like it's bad. It's really bad over there. So as for Tesla, guys, this is going to be one of our trades right here. And then also for the IBIT short, guys, just flipping that bias as we head towards that low of the day. Boom, boom, we piece them out, and then we get all out right there. So not too bad whatsoever. We're not going to complain because you can see here on the 5-minute time frame, we can even bump up a time frame here in intervals. So still fully intact. So just keep an eye out on that. Someone said MSTR at the low of the day as well.
Oh.
Let's take a look at some of these quantum names. MSTR. Yeah, there it is, guys, down to 190. If we look at this from a daily perspective, we talked about it, it's down 75%. Like you have to take into consideration. So from this point here, you're down 58%. If you're down 58%, you need the stock to double just to get back to 50%. You need it to double literally just to get back to break even.
Crazy.
So some monstrous moves are going to happen in Bitcoin and in BMNR as well too. As this was a monster move here as well too, Sharif. This is just over exuberance in the earlier months of the summer, June. There, you climb all the way up to 160. Come on, you can do it. And then now you're currently trading down 80% from that level. So you got to be cautious, man. Who was it? Someone in the chat here. I'm going to go over the super chat. I reminded you were talking about it, Sharif, and I wanted to touch on this.
Yeah.
Day Trader LA, I went long at the wrong time on Google. You're 33K in the hole. What do you do? You got to write options against that, right? If you're bag holding, you got to sell calls. It's just covered calls. So if you're down 33K, I'm assuming you have a bleep ton of shares. With that being said, you just got to start writing and mitigate that loss, whether it be 10% or 20% at a time. That's the way you just recover from that. And in the meantime, you're collecting this passive income. And then when Google rebounds, which it does, in my opinion, you've banked that cash, and then sure enough, you're going to go into the positive.
Well, I have a bias. I've told you that bias. I think Google overtakes Apple in market cap next year by 26. I don't know when. And it's awfully close to overtaking Softy. Look at this, Joey. 3.776 trillion. Softy. Google, like goggles. 3.453.
So that's like 2 solid days. That's like 2 solid days of trading.
It could easily be 2 solid days.
What do you think drives Google to surpass Apple and Microsoft? I hate to put it so crudely, but they've got their hand in every cookie jar. They've got a lot of money to make sure that, that segment of their company does quite well. And let's cut the crap too, bro. They learn from their mistakes. Gemini was hot garbage. It was, to use, a term that, is not liked by a lot of people. It was a little woke. I'll just give you an example, and I'm not trying to take sides here. If I put in a summary of an article, or if I put in an article, and I asked it to summarize it that included Donald Trump's name, it wouldn't summarize it. It'd be like, I cannot summarize political stuff, blah, 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 blah. That to me irked me, right? So I stopped using it, right? And it's like, dude, Donald Trump is involved in everything we do now. Exactly.
Don't tell me you can't summarize. But they've made gains. They've made gains. They've improved substantially, to be fair to the company.
But we know during, I think, just before the April lows, is that they were having front office issues with this wokeness, apparently. They just, with obviously regarding the LLM and everything that was going on with that.
You know what I mean? Like, look, if you take whatever side of the political spectrum you want, but you don't get to dictate to me, like, what articles I can summarize, because you know what I mean? Like, that just, come on.
But as for the ETF, I think it's good to break it down. You have the search.
There you go. Now let's get into the good stuff.
You have the streaming. You have the quantum play. You have the autonomy play. What else am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something else.
Digital ad sales. Digital ad
sales. Exactly. Their main driver.
Thing.
Exactly. So again, just a lot going on there. Meta 2X.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No. We got a super chat by Mohammed Bugatti. Meta, 2x market cap by 2026, super underrated. I think, speaking of digital ad sales, this is the name that you want to own if you're looking for that.
Well, Google, I think their digital ad sales are almost double Meta's. Like 80,
are they actually?
Something like that. 80 some odd billion, 70 some odd Metas are like 46.
Because I guess the search, right? Not everybody's on social media, but a lot of people are using, more people are using.
But so I think Google is a fantastic company. And I think that the Buffsters there did nice business there. White Rabbit Trader, what are we looking for in TMQ? I'm looking for continuation, brother, and let me show you why I feel that way on TMQ. I see higher lows in anticipation of a 4 break and hold. So as you can see, this trend line here kind of is just an easy way to visualize those higher lows. But that's what I see, brother. I see good continuation there, but I also see resistance in and around 4. So the staunchy seller has been hanging out there for a while. It's up 14% or thereabouts, but it can't seem to shake that 4 seller. 403, 402, sometimes it gets up into 404. So we'll keep tabs on that. Double SP was also getting into that, but when I started seeing the lower highs and that flat bottom start to manifest at 4, that got me concerned. That could all change though on double SP. If we break and hold above this 415 area, that will be an end to the trend of the lower highs, and that changes my analysis on things, and I could certainly work my way back into double SP. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to the big desk.
Here, guys, update here with regards to Amazon and its US dollar bond offering. This is not really moving the stock at all, but I am just seeing here, apparently they've set the size of that US dollar bond offering at $15 billion. So again, Amazon, $15 billion US dollar bond offering. That size has now been set as we send you back to Joe and Sharif.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
What's up?
Oh, you got...
Oh, you have
Go ahead,
something?
Joey.
Oh, okay, yeah, do your thing over there. So there's, guys, we're out BTC. As you can see, we bounced off of that 52.40 level. Now just looking for that next potential opportunity. Is it going to be Microsoft, AMD? So I think a little bit tougher of a session here. But this is what I was referring to earlier in the day when we went over our options activity in the morning, right? Like if you're forming those condors later in the session, this is absolutely beautiful. And this is what we were talking about. This is just a flat base in which we're referring to. But we had the 663s, right, as we're trending down. In the pre-market, that been like, ooh, Joe, that's a little bit optimistic in my opinion. But in the next couple of hours, ask yourself, you have the ability to collect $100 per contract combination in a day. If you sold 3 of those with your specific stop loss at a 1-to-1, so you're risking 300 to make 300 on a 77% probability of profit, this isn't looking so bad. And this is what I'm talking about, the sideways price action, not necessarily having a directional bias when it comes to options trading. So if individuals are interested about that, obviously feel free to ask me any forms of questions, but that's a solid trade, and I think it's more warranted for this current market sentiment, considering we're not putting in any new highs, we're not necessarily putting in any new lows just yet. So be patient, allow yourself to utilize the manipulation of options contracts, and it allows you to set up trades like this today.
Oh boy, let's have a look at the coin. Oh, the coin's now at 92.8, Joey.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, well, it is what it is, brother. Where's IBIT at?
It's at 52.68.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's not good, buddy. It is not good, man.
Okay. All right. Well, that's where it is.
It is, yeah, exactly.
That's where it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Dude, we might lose 3,000 on ETH too.
Yeah, I mean,
Joey, what do you think the low of the day is on ETH? Take a guess.
Well, if you're saying that we might lose 3,000,
yeah.
So I'm gonna say probably.
Don't look. You're looking at the chat.
I'm not looking at the chat. I'm not looking at the chat. I'm gonna say $3,089.
Oh, your 3,000 is right. It's 3,004.
Oh, dollar? Oh, man.
Yeah, man. The blood is in the streets. All right, man. Look, man, I got the patience. So
that's good, man. You got the diamond hands.
Yeah, well, who knows if they're diamond hands? I just have patience, though. But
yeah.
We'll keep an eye, and we're going to be adding at strategic areas. So let the coin drop.
Wait, listen. I think if you're going that route, man, slowly. You're down, think about it, we're down 30% off of the highs in Ethereum, down 25% off of the highs in Bitcoin.
Right.
At what point, so you're officially in bear market territory.
You are.
What time do you start slowly grabbing some? Is this the time?
Let the technicals tell you, Joey.
Yeah, it's true.
Let the technicals tell you, you know what I mean?
My hands ain't, Mike P. My hands ain't even close to diamond, more like salt.
Look, every time we count out Bitcoin, it makes us look foolish, so let's not do it anymore.
In the long run, listen, we're just going to stick to the second half of the halving cycle and say that's going to be the strong one. We'll write this year off. I mean, there is a month. Are you going to get a little bit of a Christmas rally?
Right.
God willing at the end of the day, you have to be patient and wait and see. But I full disclosure, I had to trim some in the long-term account. I just had too much unrealized going away. And I have too much exposure, so I did reduce my position.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's fair.
I did reduce it.
Guys, I want to mention a couple of different names that are moving here. Double SP is about to take out 15s, and that's a level that we talked about as an interesting area for a continuation breakout trade. Look, this held $4 very, very well, but I was of the view earlier that the lower highs were operative. I was wrong. Those lower highs have now broken. The lower highs were coming. The high of the previous area was 412. We're showing 414s. Let's see if we can get above 15. I'm interested in taking this one long again, okay? So double SP, looking maybe to get back into triple fours. That is the high of the day currently on double SP. In fact, let's just work our way in over here, okay? And then also, I just took some profits there on TQM as it worked into fours, looking for fives next. And DVLT. DVLT is a trade that I had very little to say about earlier. I had one, beak wetter from 197 above 2, then it broke all the way down. Now it just got back into 2 and it's dropping again. Let's see if it can work and stay above that $2 level. I'm interested in DVLT if it can get and stay above 2. And SGBX, so many of you guys were asking me about SGBX and why the hell I wasn't trading it. Well, that's because it was below the volume weighted average price the entire show. But look at this, higher lows, and yes, more higher lows, with that flat top being the volume weighted average price. If you're looking for a breakout trade, you've got a very clear area off which to, take the breakout, and that is VWAP. And it's not just a line on the chart. You do have price action resistance there. Take a look at the double top at 1140. Take a look at the rejection at 115. Again, the rejection at 130, and again, the rejection at 140, although followed by higher lows. So you're getting that ascending wedge pattern for a flat top break on SGBX. So many of you guys were asking me about this, and as well as you should be, because look at the price action that we had there in the pre-market. So it was a good looker. Let's see if it can kind of maintain that look above the volume weighted average price, possibly a breakout trade maybe above 88s, 90s, or if you want to get in here and give yourself to maybe an area low. I'm talking about this candle right now. You could stop out through 2 3/4. That could also be a move, but make sure you're managing risk well there. But other than that, those are the ones I'm looking at. There's not much happening on IWVT, not much happening on ANVS. PACS also remains above VWAP, but not moving up either, Joey. So keeping an eye on those bad boys.
Yeah, I mean, Bird Vision TV, brother, write it up. Thank God for just having the ability to just understand the writing of options and the power of them. Otherwise, yeah, a lot of people not doing so good. All right, Adair, what do you got for us?
Trump talk on watch. At 2 p.m., Donald Trump is set to meet with the FIFA World Cup Task Force. That stream right now, I'm seeing some streams that are open. They're not live yet. Trump is not always on time for these types of events. So either way, the point is around 2 p.m., we are expecting him to make these comments. I'll, of course, keep you guys apprised in terms of when he takes the podium and if there's anything market moving that is being said. Back to you.
Thank you very much. So other than that, guys, I don't got too much going on. We're heading right towards some key support levels, which I was talking about earlier. So you have floor 1 being snapped, and then sure enough, we have that key pivot at 667.72. Looks like we're going to start to head towards that and maybe potentially establish a new low of the day on the SPY as AMD is continuously bleeding. And we had Alibaba up here. This was a really, really pretty print right here. Pretty bird. Again, that's a Dumb and Dumber reference right there. Pretty bird. The blind kid, they sell him a dead bird, and then it's like, what is going on here? Oh boy. But anyways, so yeah, there it is, guys. You can see that there's a floor being established. If that breaks, then watch out for some more downturn. But a lot of overlapping prints in which I was referring to earlier in the day, so keep that in mind and into consideration. We went over those now. As for Robinhood, we can buy this back already at a better price, 116.03. I think that's going to be the case and something that I'm going to do. Sitting on some nice cash now, so I'm just, where do I go shopping? It's probably going to be in the legs of Robinhood. And if we do sell in NVDA, then by all means, we'll most definitely be grabbing more of that. I still have full position in the long term. I wanted to bring this up here. We got Pan W, so we'll take a look at some Pan W options activity on the chain itself, considering they report Wednesday after the bell. And we want to see if there's any call walls. Listen, this isn't the most active, so you want to look for anything in the tens of thousands. If that, then it's like, hey, we look at the expected move. It's not correlated with any of this open interest. I'm not saying that's the case. That's an if and when. So what we want to do is just look for high levels, and that's going to be that 220 strike price, 6,003 contracts. Let's pull up the expected move on it right now. Options AI and see what we got going on. I'm gonna have to save this one so I don't have to continuously pull it up. Expected move. There we go, and we'll take a look at what Pan W is going to bring us this week. We like Palo Alto. We like the cybersecurity. Okay. There's some other names that I want to look to get involved with this one. What's that, brother?
TMQ, no, I'm just talking TMQ. To myself, yeah.
So there it is, guys. Expected move 7%. Oof. With a high of 218.59 and a low of 190.02. That is going to be correlated with our highest levels of open interest at that 220 strike price.
So we dare bringing up FIFA and this was myself and my cousins back on Thursday. Joey, we're at BMO Field, and here's kind of the look there. We had great tickets.
Yeah, these are great seats, man.
Yeah, we had great tickets there, and then obviously look at the ultras coming up.
Yeah,
on the left.
I love
so
these guys.
Right here, I want to pause this. So this is all going to be built out, Joey. So that's going to be the south stand.
Yeah.
So they're going to build out this side and the other side. So imagine the other side as well as blank.
Yeah.
They're going to, so that we can reach 45,000, which is the minimum.
Yeah.
But that's where all the ultras sit, and they're crazy. There's like these guys there that don't even watch the game. All they're doing is just getting the other guys ready.
They're sick for the TFC games. That's where all like all the
that's where they all are. The ultras are there.
Yeah.
And then here are my cousins. This is my cousin. That's the dentist who's practice is right down the road.
Oh, nice.
These are all brothers. So that's George, Mark, and Bishoy. They're all my first cousins.
Yeah.
And I was like the only odd one out there.
Yeah, that's
right?
all right, man.
Yeah,
that's right.
So there's the boys.
Well,
right
hey,
there,
man, listen. So my cousin doesn't have any siblings, right? Only child. But he's like our brother at the end. Go back. Oh, we got Shreve shredded.
Oh, hold on. We can't show those ones, Joey.
So one more. Go back one more on your thing there. We keep going back. We don't want that. Well, anyways, what I wanted to show you was that big thing above where the ultras are. You see that big towering thing? So I was there when they had to ship a crane in from Sweden to
right here?
Install that. No, on the other side. So you're gonna see it up here. Yeah, you see that thing on the side there? What's going on here?
I don't know, bro. All right.
Oh man.
Boy,
all right. There we go. We're back there.
There we go.
Tarp off. At the top, in the top left. So yeah, I was
right there.
Yeah, that whole roof there.
Thing.
Yeah. And that second part, I was there when they had to, or they we're talking to the project manager and the coordinator. Like, yeah, we needed to ship a crane in from Sweden in order
that whole thing
to hoist that whole second level. So I'm not going to be surprised if they have to do something along those lines to add more of the stanchion.
Either, for sure. That's just to cover people from the rain, right? Like it exposes the field, but that's kind of how they make the soccer stadiums in Europe, right? Like the stands are covered, but the main field is
not. Yeah.
That's kind of the look there. Oh, guys, TMQ is dropping. I'm going to have to get out of this trade already. I already stopped out. So my stop triggered as this one lost trend. We took one quick beak wetter into 405, dropping back down. How's double SP looking, though? Let's bring that bad boy up there. Well, we're still out of the money on this one as well, but it's still holding trend double SP. It looks like it wants to take out the volume weighted average price and head into the high. So I'm going to pack my patience here on double SP, and I could put my stop at prior bar low. But I don't think that would be the right idea. It's generally defended 4, so if it fails 4, I think double SP's trade is over. But if it holds 4, I think there might be something here, especially into that $0.50 as the volume picks up on this one later into the afternoon. As you know, the volume typically comes back into that power hour time slot. So double SP looking for continuation above 415, but there's been a seller in the low teens. I want to say 14, 13 at times, but that 4 hold is important as well. So be on the lookout for that. That's all I'm looking at right now. There's really nothing going on other than SGBX that I'm talking about, which could be a flat top break through the volume weighted average price. Look at all these higher lows on SGBX, all of which do reject generally at VWAP, but for how long? Until the shorts get overwhelmed, and this one could be a big mover, possibly near high of day on SGBX, which is currently still 318. So that would give you a nice little upside there. So that's what I'm looking at. What else are you guys talking about in the market? Apparently the market's bleeding again. Yes, we are down below 25,000. In fact, we're losing 24,900 as we speak. We just got into the low of the day. The market, 24,886. We are at low of day right now on the NQ. All 4 major averages right on the day, with the worst performing being the Russell 2000 down 1.25%. We'll be covering that shortly on the afternoon rundown, but it has not been a positive day for the most part. There's only 2 Mag 7 names in Greensville. That is Google and Tesla, and Tesla's given back some there. Google, of course, the headline with Berkshire Hathaway. Joey, otherwise, Nvidia negative. Softies barely negative. Meta's negative again, but holding 600. Apple, the worst performing that's Nvidia. The worst performing Mag 7 name on the day, Nvidia, and then second Apple, third Amazon, as that's also down 1 2/3. So Drop it down, baby. What do you got, Joey?
Drop it down. All right, at the intersection of science and crypto innovation, Silo Pharma, Nasdaq, SILO, is rewriting the playbook. Their lead drug, SPC15, is advancing towards FDA submission, a potential first-in-class intranasal treatment for PTSD and anxiety, with data already showing strong safety results. At the same time, Silo is expanding its digital assets model, investing in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, while securing cutting-edge technology designed to strengthen and future-proof its crypto strategy. From lab to ledger, Silo Pharma is where breakthrough science meets blockchain innovation. Learn more at silopharma.com.
All right, guys, it is 2 o'clock. Time to send you to the big kahunas who are waiting in the wings, baby. I'll see everybody at the big desk. Take care.